Five, four, three. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to my Saturday morning live stream. Today is Saturday, November the 22nd, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house, although a little different today. My house has been turned into a studio for a prestigious award show. That's right. Today's a little different, and there's actually two different things that make it unusual today. First of all, welcome to Dugroz Reports Live, episode number 100. That's right. I am now in triple digits. This is the 100th episode of Dugroz Reports Live. Wow. Secondly, this is the first ever Dugroz Reports Wet Sock Award live show. So today we'll be giving out the very prestigious Wet Sock Trophy. Got it right here. So this trophy goes to a very special credit card or rewards program. Normally, you might think a wet sock is a bad thing, and there's definitely a lot of people that wouldn't want to win this trophy. But there are some rewards programs, credit cards, banks out there who just seem to relish disappointing us. So we're going to lean into that today and award them for the disappointment. So the Wet Sock Trophy will be given out today. Don't worry. But we're going to start the same way we always do. Let's go around the horn here and just see who's on board today and thank them for being here. John is here from John's Credit and Travel. Wet socks suck. Indeed, they do. Tom Graber has showed up. He's a big-time diehard, and not only has he showed up, he drops one Dugroz Reports membership. That's just as good as a $3 super chat. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Tom. We've got Dad on a Mission. Anthony Venture, let's go. Indeed, Wet Sock Trophy. Yep, that's it. Ian says, I'm on hold with Air Canada, by far one of the worst airlines to try and speak to. Oh, that stinks. Nick is excited for 5, 4, 3. Already done. Ian says, you got to have good shoes so you never have to worry about wet socks. I love a nice wool sock for moisture wicking. Well, more on that a little later. Fargonaut says, do Dugroz parties include math, or will this week be an exception? Oh, they include math. Don't you worry. Nick says, we've done it, boys. Episode number 100 is here. That's right. Thanks, Nick. And Bill Wright is on board. Ian asks, do you like the big one or something more consistent? The big one, what? I'm missing something there. I apologize. MR says, thanks for keeping it 100. Absolutely. 100% pure Dugroz. A lot of excitement and celebrations over here in the comments. Mi Hermano says, our Joel has arrived. How you doing, brother? So glad to see you here. And Anthony Ventures excited. Background Balloons is also congratulating me on the 100th show. John notices I'm wearing a tie. That's right. I mean, this is a fancy awards show. I'm going to class up the joint a little bit. Juan from the MIA is here. Good morning. Good morning indeed. More celebrating here. The CSR is definitely a wet sock. Will they be considered? Well, you'll just have to stay around till the theme of the day and find out. Don Kim is on board. Charles B., good to see you. Studio TK gifts one Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much, Mr. Squirrel. I really appreciate that. You'll notice that little squiggly sign next to Studio TK's name. That means this person is a Dugroz Reports diehard, a Dugroz diehard. Well, what's that? That's my one and only one channel membership level. So if you're interested in some members-only content, I do have some more coming out in the very near future here. Bloopers, those kind of things, a higher level of responsiveness. You can join as a Dugroz diehard. Just click join on any of my videos. It's only $3 a month. Cancel anytime. If you want to binge watch all of my members only videos and cancel after a month or 2 or 3, I sure don't mind. You can also put a super chat or super sticker down below. That helps support the channel. Anything I get, 80% is reinvested in the channel fund, so I can, buy things like trophies and ties and that kind of stuff. Very crucial for my channel, but also the other 20% goes to support my family because it's like a part-time job. There's a tip jar link if you want to donate either anonymously or in a way that gives me a higher net amount. I'm going to check it right now, just see if anybody's dropped a new tip. Not yet, but I'll refresh that throughout the video. Dad on a Mission says, my prediction is Vicasa and Wyndham will tie for the trophy. Okay. Well, Vicasa and Wyndham kind of go together in a way, but I hear what you're saying. Source King is tuning in from Montreal. Oh, up in Canada, eh? How you doing? Double Animal Fries, one of the best usernames out there. Good morning, Dugroz. All right, John is giving $1.99 since I'm in a tie. We get a fancy version. Hey, thanks, John. Celebrate. Mr. Consistent. That helps support the channel. I appreciate it. Ian says, you've just got to answer. Do you prefer to go big or keep it consistent? Well, it depends on the topic. Some things I want to go big, some things I want to keep consistent, but I would guess I'm more of a consistent guy overall. Kevin Hawthorne says, good morning from Lakeland, Florida. Good to see you. And the Rewards Master is here. Congrats on number 100. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Rewards Master, thanks for being a member. MR became a YouTube member. Celebrate. Thank you so much, MR. I really appreciate that. Another $3 into the coffer. DEM has arrived. How you doing? Jimmy Duff. DEM says, here for a bit, then off to an event. Hope you're doing well. Well, I'm at an event right now myself, so I certainly understand. D Green says, good morning, and notes episode 100. Matt Clausen has arrived. Jimmy Duff, $4.99 goes into the bucket as a super chat. Celebrate. Thank you, Jimmy. I really appreciate that. So far, we have 47 people on board. If you've not yet done so, please click thumbs up. The more you do that, the more that drives people in here to watch, both before, during, and after. Even if you're watching this after it's live, if you're watching the non-live version, or as Stan taught me recently, you can just say video on demand. Click thumbs up. Maybe make a comment. I'll even ask you, what's the favorite topic I've ever covered? If you're watching this after the fact, just put down below the favorite thing that Dugroz has ever covered. Did you like knowing about the garage door lubricant in one of my first videos? Do you want to know more about when I went to West Virginia? Were you excited when I talked about renting cars? Just let me know what topic was on your mind. Casey's Pizza could be a variety of things. Spartan of Finance has arrived, and Jimmy Duff became a member also. Well, celebrate. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. $3. Great. Hold on just a second. I had a little thingamajig in my throat. You ever feel like you have something in your throat and you're like, what is that? Where did that come from? A piece of the corn on the cob from last night. Ian K wants to keep the donations consistent then. Celebrate. Oh, okay. I got it now. So yeah, a consistent donation from Ian. Yeah, he's often given a consistent donation. Which is better, $50 once or $5 10 times? You could go either way. I think in this case, I do like consistency, but don't get me wrong. If Xavier drops by and drops down $75, I won't object to that by any means. More random particles gathering in my esophagus. I apologize. PM Newbie, P&M Newbie says, good Saturday morning. I don't know if we've met before, P&M. Good to see you, and I see you're a diehard. Thanks for being one. Fargonaut says, I just realized I hadn't clicked like yet. Done. Awesome. PDX Beach says, nice tie, Douglas. Good morning, all. Oh, thank you. Mike Newland says, mattress expert. I do have an older channel that used to just be called Dugroz. It's been renamed Driving with Dugroz because, in theory, I'm moving all my driving videos over there. I did review mattresses about 10 years ago. That's true. Manuel Jimenez says, good morning. Good to see you. Glad to have you on board. I got 48 people on board, so close to 50, but we'll go ahead and dive into what I normally do on a Saturday morning, and that is taking a look at Dugroz data points. This is anything from around the world of points, miles, cash back, and more. I don't think I hit the button to share my screen yet, so I better do that or it won't make any sense. There we go. Sharing this morning a picture from my very first ever live stream. So again, this is live stream number 100. If we want to go back in time, you can see at the bottom there, Ask Me Anything Live. The first 4 or 5 episodes didn't have very creative titles. Number 1, and that was recorded on October 14th, 2023. My boys and I were on a boys' weekend getaway in Wisconsin, staying at a Vacasa. When that was recorded, look at how my beard has become more gray. I need some just for men, apparently. Just in 2 years. Obviously, I don't do one every single Saturday. I've missed a few here and there, which is why it's a touch more than 2 years. But I went through and calculated. I've only missed like 8 Saturdays, something like that in the last 2 years. So there we go. And on that very first live stream, one of my regular supporters, Fly and Ryan, made this comment. I love how prepared you were for the live show. Well done, especially for the first time. And I responded, thank you. Hopefully I can tweak a few things. So I think I've tweaked a few things and have gotten a little better over the last 2 years. What do you guys think? Hey, 50 people on board. Thanks for hitting thumbs up. I appreciate it. Going to blow my nose real quick, and then we'll continue on here with the content. Sorry, folks. This is an epic nose blow kind of morning. I'm working on it here. Coughing, blowing the nose. These are things you'll commonly find on a Dugroz live stream. All right. Jimmy Duff says, thanks for your middle of the road view on points. P.S. Go Hawks. The Iowa Hawkeyes are the team here in the state of Iowa that I don't root for. So I'm not sure if you're a Hawk fan or just forgot that. I cheer for the Iowa State Cyclones. But I do appreciate your kind remarks, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Doug cleans up nicely. Thank you. Dr. Doog is in today. That's right. This is a show for Dr. Doog. Although, is it? Well, let's just keep finding out. Driving Mr. Dugroz. That's right. Background Balloon said, I mean, whoever made the Wet Sock Award forgot to change their fridge's water filter. You should show them how to change it and what filter they should use. Absolutely. Well, one of my very first videos was about a water filter. Background Balloon says, oh, wow, you've been streaming before I even got into the game. Well, we all got to get in at some point. So welcome on board. And I'm glad I've been around for that entire 2-year period plus. Let's keep moving along in the world of points, miles, cash back, and more with our Dugroz data points. I've talked about it 3 weeks in a row now. I'm going to keep talking about it at least a little bit. Wyndham Rewards. I did a pseudo mattress run back in late October. It actually may have been the first couple days of November. I can't remember. And there's been a change even since then. Hat tip to frequent miler. Wyndham is giving status upgrades for all members or 50x earnings for existing Diamond members. So I am a Diamond member. If you have the Wyndham Earner Business credit card, you automatically get Diamond status. So I would get 50x earnings. Now, this is disappointing because this went into effect on November 12th, and I had already completed my pseudo mattress run by that point. I say pseudo because I ended up going there, staying in the hotel, but it did inspire me to take the trip. And the way my math worked out was like this. So if you look down at this second line, points earned from stay, it was about a little under 2,000 because not counting taxes, it was $198. And normally you get 10 points. We would have taken that times 5 instead. So I would have been just a little under 10,000. You'll see that at a value of 1.25 cents per point, which is my Wyndham valuation, subject to change, possible dramatic change. But at the time I took the trip, that's what I valued it at. If that other thing had been in place, that 50 times earnings, instead I would have gotten $357. So over $100 more in value that I missed out on because Wyndham took their own sweet time in releasing that special thing. Wyndham, you just keep disappointing me. You cost me $100. You dropped the Vacasa partnership. Ugh. Come on, man. Where are we at with comments here? J.W. Jackson says, Dugroz Hauser, MD. Ian is still on hold with Air Canada. Fargonaut says, mattress expert. I see what you did there. Oh. LOL. Too easy says, good morning, Doug. Glad to see you. John says, stupid Wyndham. I agree. I better lower my volume here. I'm going to keep talking. We've reached the time of day where the Venetian blinds have some light coming directly in. It'll soon go past if you'll give it about 20 minutes. So I apologize for the distraction. I should probably buy a curtain one of these days. Matt Clausen says U.S. Bank, or no, I'm sorry, Wyndham, the U.S. Bank of Hotels. Do you think those two programs will both be on the nominee list for the Wet Sock Trophy? We'll find out. Studio TK says, does it feel like it's more Vacasa than Wyndham cutting the relationship, though? That's possible because they are under new ownership, but I'll still blame Wyndham anyway. Next Dugroz data point here. Chase has decided to add lifetime language to the no annual fee ink cards. I believe I mentioned that last week. So the Chase Ink Unlimited and the Chase Ink Cash have both become a little more difficult to obtain because there's a pop-up that says if you've ever gotten this sign-up bonus before, you may not be eligible. Very similar to the dreaded Amex pop-up, but it's expanded even further in that Chase, that last hat tip was to frequent miler. This one is Doctor of Credit. Chase Ink Preferred card now includes the same once per lifetime language. And if we look down here, it says the new card member bonus may not be available if you've ever had this card. We'll also consider pertinent factors in your business in determining your bonus eligibility. So, yeah, that ink train is slowly derailing here. Not getting too excited about those changes. Matt Clausen says it's 100% Vacasa and the new owner, Casago, but Wyndham is doing this ham-handedly. Ham-handedly is an adjective I'm not super familiar with, but I would assume you mean they aren't being all that graceful about it. Perhaps they could have negotiated something beyond January. That's been my biggest hang-up is most people want to travel in the spring, summer, fall. So couldn't you have at least gotten through like Labor Day weekend next year or something like that? Next data point here. Got to make sure the screen is viewable. Doctor of Credit says that Amazon, Best Buy, and Walmart are all selling an Apple iPad, the 2025 version, for $279. And you can see some of the stats here on the screen. I'm not a technological expert. I'm not a scientician, but I think that's a pretty good deal from what I can tell. And the comment section seems to think it's a fairly good deal as well. So if you're interested in getting an iPad, now might be the time. John now wants a ham sandwich. Can't blame you. Hey, we're up to 57. Thank you for clicking the like button, everyone. I'll leave the same offer that I almost always leave. If you donate exactly $1.49 as displayed on the screen, I will give you 1,000 Dugroz points. So that offer is still open. Next data point here is a lot of people have already heard this. Hilton is going to launch a new highest loyalty tier called Diamond Reserve. I'm going to move over to this side a little bit here to get to that direct sunlight. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this one. I think you have already heard it. I'm a little behind on this one because I think that was last weekend. Well, it says the 18th is when it was confirmed, but rumors were coming down before then. This is a status where you have to stay either 80 nights or 40 stays and, keyword and, you have to do one of those two things, and spend $18,000 at Hilton's. I was on somebody else's live. I think it was, I was a guest on Uncle Luke's live, Luke Points and Miles, on this past Thursday. Thanks so much for having me, Luke. And somebody broke down how much it would be, and I think we figured out it was $450 per stay as a cash stay to hit that status for 40 nights. So I don't think a lot of us are going to be doing that probably. And here is K-Man2324. Congrats on number 100. Here's to another 100. Thanks so much, K-Man. And drops a $10 super chat. Ka-ching. Celebrate. Thank you, K-Man. I really appreciate it. Next Dugroz data point here. Got to keep track of which one we're on. This one. There is a bank account bonus as advertised by Doctor of Credit for Wings Credit Union. And this is one you can get in nationwide by doing the old contribute contribute to something or another. Wings Credit Union has a $300 checking bonus plus $100 referral bonus. I don't know of anyone with a referral. If you do, message me offline. I am strongly considering this one. I'm attracted to the sign-up bonuses that are based on direct deposits as opposed to dropping cash and leaving it there. Sometimes those can be good, though. And I like the ones that don't take too much. So this one kind of fits right in my sweet spot in terms of what's required. The specific requirements are you have to open a new checking account and complete these things. You have to use their special promo code. You have to enroll in e-statements. And you have to set up a recurring qualified payroll direct deposit totaling $3,000 or more. Now, it doesn't say how long you have. So I would assume you have a nice long time to do this. If you did $500 increments, then basically 6 direct deposits and you would have it. If it was $1,000 per direct deposit, you take 3 of them, then you hit it. You also have to make 5 or more net PIN or signature-based debit card purchases. It says or credit card purchases, but you probably don't have their credit card of $25 or more. Well, that's not too big of a deal. 25 times 5, that's $125. Go to the gas station, buy some Amazon gift cards or something like that. That's a pretty sweet and easy $300 bank account bonus to nail down. This is kind of weird. So when I was in Puerto Rico a couple weeks ago, I stayed at the Hilton DoubleTree San Juan. And when I was doing my math, my breakdown of my expenses and those sorts of things, I actually had 3 different reservations over 4 days because I used 2 nights with points, 1 with a free night certificate, and then 1 more with points. I ate breakfast, supper, and another breakfast across 3 separate days. And I'm a gold member, so I get the food and beverage credits. You would assume I would get that food and beverage credit 3 times. But I noticed that I didn't get it the middle time. So the first day breakfast, I got that. The last day breakfast, I got that. On the second evening, I had or maybe it was the third evening, one of the two. I had a Cuban sandwich in the hotel lobby. Didn't get my food and beverage credit. So I emailed them. They have a reservation email and just asked them why that was. And this is the response that I got. Good afternoon. At the DoubleTree by Hilton San Juan, the Golden Diamond food and beverage credit is applied exclusively to the breakfast menu items, not to a restaurant or a la carte dining charges. For that reason, the credit was not applied to the Cuban sandwich charge on your stay. Please let us know. Appreciate your loyalty. Blah, blah, blah. DoubleTree by Hilton San Juan. What the crud? That's not cool. Not cool at all. If you go back and look at all the advertising from 2021 when they switched from free breakfast to food and beverage credits in the United States, it specifically said like the demand from our customers tells us that lots of people would rather have it all day. So instead of giving free breakfast, we're going to give you $15 or $30 or whatever it is at Hilton places that aren't like Hampton Inn and have free breakfast for everyone. And I actually responded to this, did a screenshot of that article, and I said, this completely goes against the intent. So I object to this. And in addition, nobody told me that when I checked in. Nobody mentioned, oh, hey, since you are a gold member, here's your food and beverage credit, but we only allow it to be used for breakfast. We do not allow it to be used for supper or lunch or room service or whatever. Different than the previous DoubleTree I stayed at in Springfield, Illinois. They didn't care. They'd let you use it on anything. Room service, supper, lunch, breakfast, didn't matter. So yeah, that's not cool. I think that is them playing it wrong. I did write back and objected, and then their response was something like, well, you're welcome to reach out to Hilton and maybe we can figure this out together. So it sounds like they're offering to work together to get some clarification on that. They also said in their response that the food and beverage credit is for locations in the United States, almost implying that they're not in the United States, but I'm pretty sure Puerto Rico's part of the United States. Cesar told me that several times. You don't have to pay foreign transaction fees, those kind of things. So yeah, I'm going to put a pin in that and see if they actually are willing to cooperate. I know a lot of people wouldn't go to bat over $15, but hey, I'm a big time YouTuber. I have to find these things out for people. All right, going to catch up on some comments here. Bill Wright is sharing that if you have Hawaiian air travel certificates for a flight, they stop accepting them at Hawaiian for later than April 25th. After that, they have to be in Alaska's system. Mine wasn't. Okay. Well, with that in mind, thank you for sharing. I think we'll all tuck that away. Flying Ryan says, I'm here now. You can start. I actually already acknowledged you, Ryan, and how you put a comment on my very first ever live stream. Thank you for doing that. You can go back and watch it if you want. Bill Wright said it took 3 hours and 5 calls to fix the thing about his Alaska/Hawaiian certificate. I'm so sorry. RemGB says, congrats on 100. Keep clicking the like button. Yeah, we're up to 58. Let's see if we can beat a record. Usually I don't get the real high attendance till after about 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. Let's see what we can do. I think 105 concurrent viewers is the hurdle we need to clear. So if anybody sees more than 100, let me know. Sleepy Rod asked this, how do we accumulate chase points now without the ink train? Regular spend? Chase multipliers aren't built for that. No gas or groceries. I agree. Probably the best way is still trying to work on sign-up bonuses, but you can only do so much. And yeah, even with like the Sapphire cards once every 48 months. And you do have Freedom Flex and the OG Freedom card where you can do rotating categories. I hit that pretty hard with some strategery, so you could lean into that. Matt Colossus says, according to leaked internals from Hilton, about 55,000 people would qualify for Diamond Reserve if they instituted it right now, and which is about 4% of Diamond members, meaning there's over 1 million Diamond members. That's a lot. But it does tell me that for the most part, you don't have to worry about Diamond Reserve getting all the upgrades if you're already a Diamond member. Food for thought. Thank you. Anthony says, yeah, Hiltons can be odd with credits. Technically, if the property is a Hilton but not owned directly by Hilton, they can choose any way to work the credits how they want. That's not cool. That's not cool, Hilton. You need to, we often hear people complaining about how Marriott needs to rein in their franchisees. Apparently, Hilton needs to do the same. Bill Wright says, my food and beverage is always used at the bar, or about always. Yeah, so you wouldn't have got it there. We're going to have to see how that works out. Goes on to say, one I went to, they said I can't just use a lump sum at the end of my stay for all the daily credits. So $30 per day, I could use. Oh, excuse me. One I went to, they said I can just use a lump sum at the end of my stay. So $30 per day, I could use all $150, must have had 5 nights, after the 5th day if I wanted. See, now that's a generous place. I wouldn't expect that. But if it's $30, I think any day in which you spent $30, you should get $30. So if you had 5 days and you ate supper on the first day, lunch on the second day, skip the third day, breakfast on the 4th day, room service on the 5th day, I think you should get all but one of those credits. So you should get 4 times 30, which is 120. That's what I think should happen. My benefactor has done his thing. Mike Newland gifts 20, 5, 10, 15, 20 Dugroz Reports memberships. That's just as good as a $60 super chat. Celebrate. I appreciate it so much, Mike. Your consistency, your faithfulness will not soon be forgotten. Anthony likes what Mike did. They Hate Me is thanking Mike. So it looks like you may have gotten a membership. They Hate Me. Awesome. Ian says, wow, I'm not in hold anymore. I only took 45 minutes to get the right human. I despise Air Canada. Matt Colossus says, the majority of hospitality brands being asset lights means there will always be consistency issues. And John says, that Mike guy, I agree, that Mike guy, quite a guy. Thank you so much. We've seemed to have plateaued in the high 50s here. Let's see what we can do to get that up a little more. Next, Dugroz data point here. You can get a 40% bonus when transferring from Amex to Virgin right now. And this is hat tip frequent miler. It's a good one through the end of this year. So through December 31st, you can get a 40% bonus when transferring your membership rewards to Virgin Atlantic. And Virgin Atlantic, I discussed this with Cesar when we were down in Puerto Rico. We both noted that Virgin is one of those airlines where you can get tremendously good value and epically terrible value. So I wouldn't probably do it speculatively. That's my feeling on the matter. But if you had a good use in mind, that's terrific. On the other hand, if you're someone like Rewards Master that flies to Europe or Asia or something like that 8 or more times per year, for you, maybe it is worthwhile. Flying Ryan wants to know, how soon is too soon for Christmas decorations? I think the gold standard should be no earlier than Thanksgiving Day. So Thanksgiving Day If you want to eat your turkey, do your thing, and then in the afternoon or evening start setting up for Christmas, that is acceptable. Any sooner than that, unacceptable. Uh-oh, I may have just offended either Anthony or Mrs. Venture. My tree's been up for a week now. Ha! Having said that, that's my standard, but I'm not dogmatic about it by any means. Next Dugroz data point here. Aldi stores say you can buy a $105 Zift e-card for $85 or a DoorDash card for $45. And the reason why I'm posting this is not because I'm excited about Zift or DoorDash, but I didn't know that Aldi sold third-party gift cards. I went there about 2 years ago. They built a new one in my town, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. And after it'd been there a few months, I went in and asked, do you sell gift cards? They, yep. And they held up like the Aldi gift card. It's like, oh, do you sell any other gift cards? Nope, just Aldi gift cards. So that must have changed. So I'm going to ask you, the audience, have any of you bought gift cards from Aldi? What did you buy? And then to make it even a little bit juicier, if you have a Chase card that is applicable, right now there is a Chase offer targeted, so I can't guarantee you'll get it, of 7% cash back up to $4. And if you do the math on that, that comes out to just a little under $60. It's a weird increment. So if you wanted to max it out, spend like $58 and change. You get your full $4 back if you wanted to min-max on that. I got it on my Aeroplan card, which is actually probably the best one to get it on because it's, I want to say one of the few, it might be the only Chase card that has a designated grocery multiplier. Correct me if I'm wrong. None of the proprietary Ultimate Reward cards too. Some of the, at least this one, co-branded does. Maybe Southwest does on some of them. So there's an option for you, although you might have to be on the phone for an hour if you're actually flying with Aeroplan or booking with Aeroplan. If you're just paying yourself back like I usually do, then you don't really ever have to call customer service. Let's take a look here. Mike says, it's amazing that these hotel brands are so inconsistent. Yeah, and just highly frustrating. I guess something I should do is anytime you go to a Hilton other than a Hampton Inn, just say, I'm a gold member, so I'm entitled to the food and beverage credit. How does your restaurant apply that? And just straight up ask them. At least then you would know. A lot of people who were at the Hilton Caribe there in San Juan were disappointed that the only way you can use it there is on their continental buffet breakfast, which was like pastries and a little bit of fruit and some muffins. If you wanted eggs or bacon, you had to pay extra for that. Flying Ryan says, whoops, looks over at tree, assuming that's a Christmas tree. Spartan of Finance says, thanks, Mike, for the gift of membership. Christmas comes early in the Frugal Dad household. Absolutely. Mike is my benefactor. We are buds. Nick says, the day after Halloween, the Christmas tree can go up. That's the way Disney does it, so I'm good with it. Okay, alrighty then. Nick also says, my Aldi usually only sells gift cards around Christmas. Oh, that's strange. I didn't realize it was a seasonal thing. By the way, I don't know if anybody figured this out. I got new glasses. Now, they're very similar to my old glasses, but the width and shape's a little different, so I'm still kind of getting used to them here. Do I have my old glasses? Oh, those are my very old glasses. These are the glasses from my thumbnail. Much more skinny and kind of intellectual. This is my current look here now. I had a different pair in between those two. Filmo has arrived and says it wouldn't be Saturday if Filmo didn't miss the Dugroz data points. Good morning, Doug and everyone. We're going to get in on about 40 to 50% of them, so that's good. Hey, we're up to over 70 people now. If you've not yet done so, please click the thumbs up button and or make a comment. It can even just be like the number 100, because this is the 100th episode of Dugroz Reports. We have some special stuff today. Bill Wright said, Resorts World in Vegas wants you to use the food and beverage check-in on check-in day. The whole thing? Like, so if you're staying 3 nights, they want you to use all $90 on the first day? What? John says, dang it, Filmo. Rewards Match says, yep, I'll speculate for 40% virgin. That's one of those sentences where I'm just thinking there's got to be a better way to word that. I knew what you meant. I'll leave it at that. May not want to say that one from the pulpit. Flying Ryan says 100. Spartan of Finance says Christmas tree goes up after Thanksgiving. That's how normal people do it. Uh-oh, I may have initiated a controversy here. Let's see. Next up is, this is a notice from the folks at Capital One, new debit card, same great bank. Capital One is switching its debit card to the Discover network. And that reminds me, thank you, Capital One, I have several in-person data points this morning. Got my stack right here. So let's go over them, just see what's come in the mail recently. Okay, here's the first one, and I labeled it Capital One. Oh, don't show your home address, Doug. Debit card on Discover. So right here, covering my address, say hello to your new debit card. And there it is. I'm just going to go ahead and peel it off here. It's a good thing I only record in 720p, so those identity thieves are going to have a hard time seeing any of that info. But there it is, Capital One debit card. It doesn't focus up close very well. You'll just have to take my word for it, and then I'll cover my important information. But right there on the back, it's got the Discover network icon. So Capital One debit cards are now on the Discover network. Next in-person data point here. This is a letter from Wells Fargo, and I'll show you the logo in the corner just so you know it's authentic. And I'm just going to read it to you here. I have a personal line of credit with Wells Fargo. I got it a long time ago. I worked at Wells Fargo around 2007, 2008. And at that time, you could open a like $15,000 line of credit, unsecured, no annual fee. They actually threatened to take all those away about 2 or 3 years ago, and there was so much like pushback that they decided not to. So you can just keep it. There's no fee. You don't use it, but it is on my credit report, and it's now more than 15 years old. What's that? 17, 18 years old, something like that. So I'd like to keep it. It says, Dear Dugroz and Debroz, we're writing to let you know about upcoming changes and late fee for your personal line of credit. Effective March 1st, 2026, we are adding a $39 late fee and a $50 annual fee. You have the right to reject this, but you have to close your account. Now, I don't mind the late fee because I'm not going to pay late, but that annual fee, $50 just to keep my line of credit open? Come on, Wells Fargo. I've been a dedicated customer for a long time, and you're treating me like trash. $50 just to keep a line of credit open. Doggone it. Catching up on comments here. Flyan says, we aren't normies though, right? Normal people with Christmas trees. Flyan Rice says we aren't normal. RemGB says, it's been a brutal year for your favorite programs. They were my favorites too. The U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve has been the biggest blow. Only of the surviving favorites so far is Aeroplan at 1.625 roundabout, unless that gets nerfed also. It did get capped though, which someone like Chad Pennycuff took hard. Anthony Venture says, we don't care about norms. Well, freaks, I want as much Christmas time as possible. Less than a month of tree if after Thanksgiving. Not if you leave it up until the middle of January. Just saying. Filmo said, if I had my way, the tree would go up 12.24 and come down 12.25. DEM says, speculating on virgins is always fun. We're just going to leave this. We're going to leave this topic in the dust here. Laughing at Filmo. Venture says, taking down the tree presents unwrapping. Taking down the tree during present unwrapping. I gotcha. Flying Ryan's excited about something. Yuri BSU has arrived. Excuse me, Yuri SBU, Southern Baptist University. In 2007, 2008, you could open an account with Wells Fargo and they would open 20 more on your behalf just to make sure. There were shenanigans going on at that point in time. John says, note to self, Filmo hates Christmas. It's true. It's true. Filmo hates a lot of stuff, apparently. He hates Wells Fargo making changes to card designs. That's for sure. More in-person Dugroz data points here. So myself and the missus both got an elevated offer on a business card from Amex. And this one is 200,000 membership reward points after spending $20,000 within 3 months. 20,000 in 3 months is awfully rich for my blood. I would have to pretty much make it so that that's my only strategy at all. Usually she gets a better offer than me, so I'm just excited that we got the same offer. Here is another offer from Amex about the business gold card. And this one says 125,000 MR points after spending 15,000 in 3 months. That's not very good ratio-wise. I think I would rather take the platinum if I'm going to spend 15,000. What's an extra 5,000? This one I'm going to save for later. This is kind of a big deal. Here's an offer for the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card. Get 125,000 bonus points and a free night on minimum spend. And you'll notice up here in the corner, I wrote jerks because I actually applied for this card and they would not let me upgrade to this new offer. The day I applied, it was only 3 FNCs. Now it's points plus 1 free night, which is better. And I asked, can I upgrade to this? And they said no. And then they have the gall to mail me something that I'm not even eligible for. Again, jerks. So remember I said Amex likes my wife better than me. My offer on the business gold is 125,000 points. Her on 15,000 to spend. Her offer is 200,000 points on 15,000 spend. Why do they like her so much more than me? But they do for whatever reason. How many of you get multiple conflicting offers in your household? Does it create family disunity? 63 people on board. Keep on hitting that thumbs up button. Filmo says Filmo just hates trees. MR says he should branch out. John says evidently clouds too. Old man shakes fist at clouds. Spartan says that 20K in 3 months is way out of my league. I got the same offer. John says I got the same mailer for the business gold, Doug. No way I can pull off 15K in 3 months. It's more manageable than 20K, but yeah, I've done that kind of thing before, but you have to know something big is coming and plan around it. Spartan says I got the Biz Gold offer last year, 10K spend for 150 and the 295 annual fee. I would do that offer again. John says Mrs. Dugroz is the better half, thus the bigger MR point offer. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Actually, I think it might be because she has a business cash, which is the 2% cash back on everything. Got that because it's a no annual, because it's a 0% interest for a year. And she's been putting a lot of her everyday spend on that. So I'm wondering if they think she's a much bigger spender than me right now. And she is in that sense. Next Dugroz data point here. So you know how the Chase Sapphire Reserve has added some benefits recently. And one of them is on StubHub, or the parent company of StubHub, via GoGo. And you can buy tickets for concerts, sporting events, those kind of things. Quick nose blow. Sorry, folks. My sinuses are just deciding everything needs to come out this morning. What's new? StubHub credit on the CSR. So I'm thinking like, we might go to a concert. My wife likes classical music and I'm pretty good with it too. So happy wife, happy life. Let's take her to a concert. So I looked up a concert coming to Des Moines today, actually. And this is directly with the Des Moines Performing Arts Civic Center. It's called Scottish Highlands and Eroica. Now be careful. That says Eroica, not some other word that's similar. That's something Beethoven wrote a long time ago. 2 tickets, including the fees, $44 if you go directly with the Des Moines Performing Arts Center. If instead you go to StubHub or via GoGo, it's $238. So it's almost $200 more. Now, I'm sure the tickets on StubHub are better, but I think and that's the cheapest one on StubHub. I think the problem is it's the secondary market, so you don't have as many tickets to choose from. So unfortunately, that StubHub credit doesn't always work out. Sometimes it's just a terrible value. I mean, the Des Moines Civic Center has pretty good seating. So if you're going to like a show, like a play, you might want to sit more central. Our seats are way over on the edge, about a little more than halfway back. They're right about in this area, I think. So if you're going tonight, say hi. But for a concert, like a classical music concert or something like that, jazz band, it really doesn't matter where you sit. There's not a bad seat in the house. Let's see. Dennis Dunn is here. How you doing, Dennis? Any snow in Iowa yet? Well, when I was in Puerto Rico, it snowed, but there wasn't any accumulation because the ground was too warm. But other than that, no. Ian says, I just accepted the 250K offer. I was going for 300K. I got a big event coming up, so lots of spend. Thankfully, that works. Sleepy Rod said, I would call and ask again and mention you got a mailer. It wouldn't hurt. Huh? You mean for the Bonvoy? Yeah, good idea. Why don't I do that? MR says he read Eroica as Erot beep first. Oops. I don't want to say that word out loud because of, YouTube censorship and everything. Yeah, that's what I was trying to warn everyone not to accidentally read. Spartan of Finance says, I've had 3 Amex business cards in the past 2 years, and I noticed that I never get any personal offers online or in the mail. Am I business card bucketed? Huh. Have I gotten a personal offer? Maybe I'm in the same boat as you. RemGB says, me too. Neither me nor Player 2 gets any business card offers, though. I wonder if we're in pop-up jail. So Spartan of Finance's household never gets personal offers. Rem never gets business card offers. That's weird. They do have something going on with that, but I'm not exactly sure what it is. Ryan says, same for me with Amex Biz. Interesting. So it's lots of people, not just us. We're getting close to the end of the Dugroz data points here. This is an email that Gmail sent me, or Google sent me. It says, your photos are helping in a big way. So I like to do Google reviews to tell people what's going on. And just something I noticed is it seems like the reviews that are most popular are always either pictures of food or a restaurant, inside or outside. So the 3 examples they sent me, these 2 on the left are both Mr. D's restaurant in Albany, New York, which is connected to a Crown Plaza by IHG. And then on the right, this is a restaurant in like a very narrow street or an alley in Austria. So yeah, apparently people like looking at pictures of food. In fact, I used the link to go out and find which one of the photos I took on Google is the most popular ever in conjunction with the review. And it was like the year where I think it was 2021. I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, stayed at a Hyatt Regency there when I landed, and there was a restaurant inside the Hyatt Regency. I took a couple pictures. It was not very full because that was still sort of the tail end of COVID there. And for some reason, just a very boring, generic picture of the inside interior of a restaurant, like 70,000 views or something like that. Vander Sar became a YouTube member. Thank you so much for joining as a Dugroz diehard, Vander Sar. Celebrate. I really appreciate it. Another $3 goes into the coffer. And then Ron Byrne comes in right behind, dropping a $10 super chat. Celebrate. Shoots. Swish. $10. Congrats on 100 episodes, says Ron. I signed up at First Horizons for $700 bank bonus. Oh, is that one that's good for normal people like us? I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this here so I'll remember it and think about it. Thank you so much, Ron. I appreciate that. All right, so we've got one more Dugroz data point here. Although it's a series of Dugroz data points. Capital One adds a $100 travel credit to Quicksilver, Venture One, and Saver offers. I'm going to make myself disappear for just a moment. The last day to apply for increased welcome offers on the Venture One, Quicksilver, and Saver will be December 9th. You also get a $100 travel credit on top of the normal amount that you would get, which is either $200 or 20,000 miles. So $200 sign-up bonus plus a $100 portal travel credit, very similar to the Venture X coupon. Now, that is a nice sweetener, and it's going to end on December 9th. All right, I'm tucking that away. Here is a comment I put on a video somebody else put on a video that I published earlier this week. The video is called My Credit Card Roadmap for Late 2025. If you're on board, say hi. This comment was from a discreet firm. I had been checking the Capital One pre-approval tool for months and checked again during the recent ad blitz and was finally approved for the bonus saver, or in other words, the saver card with a sign-up bonus. I have been pre-approved only for the saver for good credit for a long time, which means you can't get a sign-up bonus. I've been wanting the Capital One saver card for a long time, but boy, getting it without a sign-up bonus is just a hard pill to swallow. Philmo and I know mathematically you should always go for the sign-up bonus. So that's the second thing to tuck away. And then the third thing to kind of tuck away is I got a letter in the mail from the folks at Capital One just a day or two before I saw that comment from a discreet firm. And this mailer says that I am pre-qualified for the Platinum offer with no annual fee. Now, the Platinum card from Capital One is a crappy card. There's no sign-up bonus. It tells me all these exciting features like no annual fee, no fraud liability, tap to pay, and I think you get 12 months, 0% interest or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. I don't want that offer. But then I did think When's the last time I got a targeted mailer from Capital One? I don't know that it's ever happened, or if it has, it's been a really long time. I wonder, since they're desperate for me to sign up for a card, if they're particular about what specific card is. Could this be the moment? Well, I went out to the Capital One pre-approval tool, and typed it in, and you know what it said? It said for the Venture card, or Venture One, add good credit. That means no sign-up bonus. But the Quicksilver and the Saver both had the standard version. I'm like, is this real? I know it's just the pre-approval tool, and pre-approval doesn't guarantee that you're going to get approved, but I read the fine print, and it said I will earn a $200 bonus if I spend $500 in 3 months. Okay. It has that one-time travel credit that Frequent Miler mentioned. I'll receive a $100 Capital One travel credit. All I have to do is sign up for the card. It expires a year after I am approved, if you're approved. So I'm like, this is a one-time opportunity, Doug. Don't blow this. Don't worry about Chase 524. Go for it, man. This might be the only time you have a chance to do this in the next 10 years. Although I'm actually not too bad off on 524. I'm at 424 right now, but that'll drop down to 324 at the end of November. So even if I go up to 5, I'll drop back down to 4. And you know what? I click the button. Boom, approved. Congratulations. You're approved for a Saver rewards card with a $30,000 credit limit. I'm like, whoa. So all those stereotypes about Capital One doesn't want people with good credit, well-established credit, those kind of things. Either that's wrong or I slipped through the cracks, but I'm not going to look back. It's already showing up in my app. I was able to use the virtual card on a purchase. Actually, that concert at the Des Moines Civic Center, although it didn't code as entertainment, so that was a little bit of a bummer. Oh, you guys know how happy this makes me. It makes me super happy. Now, we all know that Capital One pulls all 3 credit bureaus. So how did that work out? It was a bit of a hit. TransUnion dropped 21 points on the same day that I did this. Equifax only dropped 1 point. And then Experian dropped 7 points. So a bit of a smackdown at TransUnion, that's for sure. But the other 2 mid. But, in a couple months, that'll recover from the hard pulls. And then just a day or 2 ago, I think it was yesterday, I got this email. Douglas, your Saver card is on the way, and it will arrive soon. So it actually should be arriving early to mid next week. I did preview this secretly at the very tail end of John's live stream. So if you don't watch John R's live streams, this was on Wednesday that I watched the live stream, and it happened like while I was watching his live stream. So you should be watching John R's live streams on Wednesday. If you're not going to church, if you are going to church, then I totally understand. Let's catch up on comments here. Flying Ryan says, First Horizon is picky if you do too many bank account bonuses. I'll keep that in mind. Ron says, this is referencing his comment about First Horizon's $700 bank bonus. $2,000 in direct deposit and checking, $3,000 of savings for 90 days. That's doable. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. MR says, First Horizons is geofence, none near the Midwest. Ooba. Vandersar said, I saw you on Uncle Luke's live. For some reason, didn't get any of your videos recommended before that. Well, awesome. I was hoping I'd get a little bit of bump after being on Uncle Luke's show, so that's pretty cool. As it relates to the Saver, Ian says, let's go. Vandersar says, wow. And if you watched the Path series I did this summer and early this fall, I want to have the Capital One Duo for all of my traveling. In other words, while I'm traveling, I don't trust Citi to not have some sort of error or mistake or say, oh, you don't normally go to Oregon. Let's lock down your account. So even if I do use something else, I want to have the Saver One Duo as a backup while traveling. So that's what I'll be using from now on. Vandersar says, wow. Ian says 30K is big league. It sure is. And I can transfer some of that credit over to my Venture X to make it even bigger. MR says it looks like Capital One is turning from a wet sock to a dry sock. Yeah, it is. Dennis Dunn says, congrats on the saver. Nice job. Awesome. Thank you, Dennis. D Greens congratulates me. That's great. Ian says, my score dropped 101 points the other day. It happens. And John says, and why aren't you watching my live streams on Wednesday? Yeah, everyone in the chat, watch John's live streams on Wednesday. I let out that little secret. If you had watched, you would have known it. All right, let's keep going here. We're back up to 70 people on board, so keep smashing the thumbs up button if you want to drop any super chat, any amount, any super sticker, even if it's only, a couple bucks, I will take it. So now it is time for the theme of the day, the first ever Dugroz Reports Wet Sock Award. But before we do, there's something very important that I need to take care of, and that is biology. So I'm going to take what we sometimes call our biology break. Sometimes we call it intermission. But basically, I have to go use the bathroom. It's just a number one. Shouldn't take too long. So hang in there. Just stare at the background. You can watch my MOVA globe rotate. You can stare at the wet sock trophy. And I should be back in about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. Here we go. Almost back. Just got to take a quick asthma hit. Excuse me. I'm going to fill my water up real quick. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Catching up on comments here. JP says, happy you were approved, but I think people shouldn't focus on the pre-approval tool. I stopped using it and got approved. Just because you're not pre-approved doesn't mean you won't be approved. Thanks, JP. That's a good comment. And somebody else made the same comment. I was strongly considering going ahead even if I wasn't pre-approved. Although if you do it that way, you have to skip the pre-approval tool, because if you get to the end of the pre-approval tool and it says you're only approved for with good credit, and you hit the apply button at the bottom, it'll only let you do that version. So you have to bypass the pre-approval tool entirely. MR says, sweet jams. D Green says, I agree with JP Knowledge in general, but Capital One's pre-approval is pretty reliable. Capital One says you're pre-approved. Approval is pretty much guaranteed. JP says, I guess I've been rejected for cards enough times I don't care that much if I get declined. If declined, you are just in the same place you were before applying. It's not that big of a deal. Good point. A little bit of a hit to your credit, but those hard inquiries only affect you for about a month or two. Fargonaut says, 30K baller. And again, JP adds, you are correct, but if it doesn't say it, you can still get approved, so why not try? Anthony Venture thinks it's fire. The music or the 30K? Whichever. All right, so today we are going to be presenting the very prestigious first ever Dugroz Reports Wet Sock Trophy. Now, I've got a perfectly cromulent sock here. It's a Hanes. Now, this one's dry, so for the sake of the award, I do need to wetten it here. Just a little, like when you step on just a little bit of water. Got a cup here. This is not the same one I've been drinking out of, so there we go. Now we've got a wet sock. See right there on the toe, we've got a dark area. It's dripping a little. It's the Wet Sock Award. So I hate wet socks. So when I was thinking of an analogy for bad things that happen in the world of points and miles, nothing quite like a wet sock to ruin your day or afternoon or morning or whatever. So this is the first ever Dugroz Reports Wet Sock Awards. Let's go ahead and fire up the presentation here. So, what is a wet sock in points and miles? Well, a wet sock in points and miles has at least 3 criteria. One is you didn't see it coming. You're walking across the kitchen. There was an ice cube that fell out of the ice maker 4 hours ago. It melted. You didn't notice it. You put on this nice, fresh pair of dry socks, and then, oh! Now, in wet socks, that's true. In the world of points and miles, sometimes you can kind of see something coming. Like, we've mentioned the ink train derailing a lot here today. Maybe even before the bad news started coming, you thought to yourself, like, oh, this can't last forever. Just like you can think someday I'm probably going to step in a puddle, but oftentimes you're not really expecting it in the moment, or it takes you off guard. It makes playing the game harder, so it's something bad, a devaluation, a benefit taken away, increasing the redemption cost for something, terminating a partnership, something along those lines. And then thirdly, it really annoys you. It's like a thorn in the flesh. It's like when your sock gets wet and you're about to go somewhere and you don't have enough time to change clothes. So you just have to live with this wet spot the size of $50 on your sock for the rest of the day, and it takes forever to dry, and it's hard to find an alternative. It's really annoying. Brief comment catch up here. I've only got a couple. R.E.L. Costin says, howdy, y'all. I don't know if we've met R.E.L. Costin. I see you're a diehard. Thank you so much for being a channel member. I appreciate it. Anthony also adds the sock. So sock trophy. Anthony and Fargonaut working together there. Thank you. And says, howdy, y'all. Howdy. Good to see you. Moving on. So this is talking about 2025 and half of 2024. And I've never done this award before. So I thought I'd back it up to about the middle of 2024. And we're going to think through all the bad things that have happened in that period of time. Now, this originated when Matt Clausen and I were having a conversation on Discord about something. I don't really even remember what it was. It might have been the bad news about Vacasa. And this was back on October 30th. So thank you, Matt, for helping inspire this, or at least being a listening ear. So I kind of talked it out. It's been a bad year and a half for me in the world of points and miles. A lot of my favorites have either been nerfed or eliminated. Now, you notice I said a lot of my favorites. This is very me-centric. So this is bad things that have happened to me personally. I know there's some other bad things out there that have made people really get worked up. Like an example would be if Marriott points were devalued or became worth a lot less or took away some benefit. That would be bad in general, but I'm not a Marriott guy. I am planning to get a Ritz-Carlton, so I will be like once a year in the future. But for the most part, that wouldn't really impact me. So not everything bad that has happened in the world of points and miles is eligible for the wet sock trophy. It's things that affect me specifically. Ugh. Ew, brother. Ew. Hey, we dropped down to 62 people on board, so keep smashing the thumbs up button and making comments. That will help more people jump in. Jack Max says there's only one thing worse than one wet sock, and that's two of them. Dennis Dunn says pony card gone. Well, hang in there, Dennis. Let's just see what might be on the watch list. So with that in mind, let's review the best candidates for this award. You know how at those big fancy award shows, there's like speculation leading up to them, like they're wondering who's going to be nominated. So, the morning talk shows will say, well, here's 10 movies or TV shows that we think might be nominated. So this is me as the podcaster doing that right now. Let's review the best candidates in chronological order. And the first one, number one, is Wyndham giving Vacasa and cottages a value cap. And this was back on March 26th, 2024. All right, I know that's probably just a little over a year and a half ago. That would be like a year and 7, 8, 9 months ago. But let's just roll that. It's my show. I can do what I want. So it used to be you could use Wyndham points for any Vacasa or cottage in the United Kingdom for $250 per bedroom per night, no matter how much it cost. However, on March 26th of 2024, they implemented this cap. Up to $250 per bedroom per night is the maximum value you can get for 15,000 points. I think I said that wrong earlier. No matter how much it costs, you could get it for 15,000 points before. And if you had one of their credit cards, you got a 10% discount. So it was really 13,500. But they capped that rate at $250 per bedroom per night. If it is between $250 and $500, they capped it at 30,000 points in order to be able to do it. And if you found a Vacasa or cottage that cost more than $500 per bedroom per night, you just can't get it at all as of March 26th last year. The limit for cottages was changed slightly. It's just $300 per bedroom per night. I'm not really sure what it was before, but I know before that I got my first cottage in Wales it was a little more than that. It was like $329 per bedroom per night, something along those lines. So I'm not sure what the old cap was, but basically between, at least as of right now, and I realize this is changing soon, hang in there. This is the limit you were locked in at. So you can't get like massively supersized value anymore. I think the hypothetical maximum value you could get was like 1.89 cents per point once this went into effect. Wet sock possible nominee number two was Chase dropping priority past number two. Chase drops priority past restaurants as of July 1st, 2024. So for those of you that didn't know this, the priority pass on Chase's Sapphire Reserve and Ritz-Carlton card used to allow you to use it anywhere. That included things like lounges, of course, massage places, and restaurants. And you could bring up to 2 guests into the restaurant, which basically meant you got a discount of like somewhere around $28, $32 per person, something like that. So they never included tip, but as long as you didn't overspend, you get a free meal for up to 3 people, which is pretty awesome. I've used this at 3 different locations in the past on 4 different occasions. On the left is in the St. Louis Lambert International Airport. There's a place called the Blue Note. You can see there's a St. Louis Blues hockey jersey there in the display case. The theme is St. Louis Blues stuff. That was kind of a mid restaurant. And then the picture on the right is a place called the Evergreen Bar and Brasserie, or however you say that, which was in Manchester, United Kingdom. And my whole family of 4 ate there. That was pretty awesome. Now, on that one, I used the US Bank Altitude Reserve because it hasn't dropped yet, but it does have a limited quantity. So kind of disappointed that I can't do that on an unlimited basis anymore. I also did it twice at a restaurant inside the Washington Reagan Airport. That restaurant is now out of business, so I didn't take a picture, and I guess it's too late now. Catching up on comments here. Let's see. REL Costin says Wyndham definitely gets a wet sock. Poop emoji. And Sleepy Rod says removing 1.5x through the Chase travel portal and 3x taken away in the CSR equals big wet sock. We got some predictions going on here. Filmo says most Wyndham hotels come with wet socks in your room anyway. Rel Costin says that is accurate. Go Bills. QC Man says be good, Filmo. All right, let's keep going here. Potential nominee number 3, Condor eliminates multiple U.S. routes. This went into effect on December 26th of last year. Here's an article, hat tip, airlinegeeks.com. Condor slashes North American network. The German Federal Court of Justice issued a ruling overturning a mandate for Lufthansa to provide feeder flights to Condor's network. You can see the picture there. Condor has these very uniquely colored planes. They're all alternating vertical stripes. Some are green, some are yellow, some are red, some are purple, but they all have that kind of, I think it's pretty sharp looking livery on the side of them. So what happened is Germany has some weird laws that we don't have here in America about anti-competition stuff. And because of those laws in the past, before December of last year, Condor flew into Frankfurt, Germany, and that's where Lufthansa's headquarters is. And the court or the legal system in Germany said that Lufthansa had to provide feeder flights for them for a certain price. In other words, if you wanted to book a plane ticket from, let's say, Baltimore over to Frankfurt and then Frankfurt on to Vienna, Austria, you could book it through Condor, and Lufthansa was forced to provide that last intra-European leg. In December of 24, the court in Germany said, you know what? You're fine. You don't have to do that anymore. So Lufthansa immediately was like, we're out. You're on your own. So Condor basically figured out in these more leisure oriented places rather than business oriented, their speculation was people don't want to connect if the only option is to go to Frankfurt. They want to fly on to Austria or London or Sweden or Madrid or the Canary Islands or something like that. So they thought that would hurt their business. So they suddenly dropped 4 different U.S. Origination and destination points: Baltimore, Minneapolis, Phoenix, and San Antonio. Now, I know I spoke about this more than anyone else because it affected me personally. But remember, the wet sock is things that impact me. And I had actually booked a Condor flight through Alaska. I did an entire video called Did I Get Conned by Condor? I was going to end my vacation in Frankfurt, Germany. It flew directly into Minneapolis, which is super handy. I could just rent a car and drive home. Here in Des Moines, Iowa, it's only like a 3.5 hour drive. And then I got an email saying, sorry, that route doesn't exist anymore. And Alaska would accommodate me by flying through Seattle, Washington on a whole different day that didn't work for me. And it just majorly screwed up my vacation. And I spent hours finding an alternative. So that was a huge wet sock when you think you have this massive win for your family vacation. And then the airline gets noticed that, I'm sorry, this route doesn't even exist anymore. Anthony's laughing at the Filmo comments, and MR says, I hear Condor is for the birds. Apparently it is. Actually, I've heard they have a fairly nice first class product. Their premium economy is not worth it. That's what I've heard. Rel Costin said, I put up the tree last night. It's glorious. And QC Man, who's been a member for 20 months, celebrates 20 months of membership. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. Is Condor a good product? I've never used them. I haven't either. Secondhand, I've heard their business class is good. Everything else is not great. If anybody has experience, let us know. Hey, we're up to 76 people on board. Keep commenting. Make those little tiny donations. Click the thumbs up button. All those kind of things. That will help drive more people in here. No tips in the tip jar yet. Yes, let's go, Rel. And that is a wet sock. Condor for the L. Yeah, a non-existent route is definitely a wet sock, says Rel Costin. Filmo says, I love those Condor striped planes, though. I do, too. I thought it would be good. And Rewards Match says Condor business class was actually really nice. Okay, so you're one of the people I've heard it from. Yeah, I've heard business class is nice. Avoid premium economy. It's exactly the same as economy with like 4 extra inches of leg room or something like that. Ian says Condor J-Class is good but hot. There's no vents at the seats. If I did it again, I'd bring a body fan. That's good to know. JP says, I never got why people went so crazy about the drop of Party Pass restaurants. For you, I get it. You used it, but most CSR users have never even been to a Party Pass restaurant and are angry that they can't go. I don't know. Yeah, I've heard that before. I felt like I actually had a pretty good use case having a family of 4, because like when we flew to Washington D.C. and back, we had 4 meals on the way out, 4 meals on the way back. So with a family, that saved like $100 each time. So that's like a $200 savings. Yes, I have it on the altitude reserve, but more on the altitude reserve later. And also that's capped at 8. So I could have seen myself getting in the habit of using it more. Maybe when my kids got into college and they're traveling with significant others or fiancés or wives or whatever in the future, and grandkids, I could see that being a big deal. I could always use the first 3 on the CSR and then put any overflow onto the altitude reserve. Rewards Master says Frankfurt to JFK was only $55K on Alaska. Awesome. Railcost says weird they would drop the vents in the design. How were those Party Pass restaurants? Like full food to order, etc.? Yeah, they were just straight up restaurants. I mean, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, steak, whatever. The one in St. Louis, the St. Louis Blues themed restaurant, it was mid. It was like a D+. But the other 2, the one in Washington, D.C. was great, and the one in Manchester, United Kingdom was great. There's more of them in Europe, is what it seems like to me. I remember reading a comment about somebody who said, like, their retirement age dad had Party Pass and loved getting Party Pass restaurants with his CSR. And whenever they flew in to visit them 4 to 5 times a year, he would make sure they went early to get his free meal. Filmo asked if they had pork chops. I don't remember, Filmo. Thank you for asking. All right, let's keep going. So we're speculating about who might be nominated for the Wet Sock Award. Number 4 is Aeroplan capping pay yourself back for travel at 200,000 points per year. And that went into effect on January 2nd of this year. In fact, I did a whole angry therapy group live stream called Aeroplan Devalue Live. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I have a strategy called the Aeroplan Caravan, where you take your chase points, you transfer them over to Aeroplan. If you wait for a transfer bonus, that's 1.2. You get an automatic 0.1 extra if you have the card, certain conditions. And then you get 1.25 cents per point. So if you take all those things, add them together, 1.65 cents per point. Functionally, it's a way to cash out your chase points for miscellaneous travel, like an Uber, a taxi, a ferry, Viator counted, tours, the Hoover Dam parking lot. Lots of parking lots count. In fact, the parking lot in Puerto Rico at the T-Mobile Center counted as travel. I could, pay myself back on that. So that used to be unlimited. You could do as much as you want. Starting this year, they capped it at 200,000 points per year, which if you do the math, because it's 1.25 cents per point on the Aeroplan side, that means basically $2,500. So I ended up getting a second card just for my wife to double that bandwidth. I know people like Chad Pennycuff used it for way more than that. He found out you can pay timeshare dues with it at Disney, and that made a huge difference. So the 200,000 point cap was definitely a huge wet sock. I'm glad they still have it, but it was a huge wet sock. Dennis Dunn still wants to try that Bennigan's burger. Well, there's one in Elgin, Illinois, I know of. There's one in Clear Lake, Iowa, and there's one in Urbandale, Iowa, which is a suburb of Des Moines. Rewards Master says, I use the Party Pass restaurants every time in Houston with my Prestige card. Now, the old grandfathered city Prestige still has the better version of Party Pass. Landry Seafood is great, $56 for 2 people. Oh, okay, so that comes out to $28 each. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, $28 each. Yeah, that's a huge deal for someone like Rewards Master. Brady Smith says, sorry I'm late, but good morning all. Good to see you, Brady. Like your avatar there in New Orleans. Filmo says, I love when you can pay yourself back for dam parking. Yeah, Hoover Dam, the Grand Coulee Dam, the Glen Canyon Dam, it doesn't matter. Yep, that's right, Source King. You can pay yourself back on a dam parking lot. Luke Johnson says, I think the Condor debacle is the wet sock winner. Let's see how this pans out. I haven't seen anybody do the $1.49 donation yet to earn the prestigious 1,000 Dugroz points. Let me double check here. Nope. So if somebody wants to be the first, it would be pretty prestigious. Where are we? Relcost says hi to Brady. And JP says the people who use Priority Pass restaurants at their home airport use them a lot and got awesome value. But I bet there were so many people angry about losing a benefit they never used, which is odd to me. I can see that. RemGB says, will Aeroplan pay yourself back for travel survive until 2026? Yeah, I can't say for sure, but I think it will. I think now that they have put a cap on it, it's a lot harder to abuse it. So I think it's probably safe in its current form. MR says we could call it Con Air going forward. QC Man gifts 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I appreciate the patrons. That helps drive the algorithm, certainly. That was number 4. Chronologically, not much happened between January and June of last year, but then this happened. Number 5, the Capital One Venture X announces no more free lounge guests, and that was announced on June 3rd, 2025. So at the bottom, we've got the news coming in from Stephen Pepper with Frequent Miler. Negative Venture X and Venture X business lounge access changes coming. And on the right, see a picture of me there in the Capital One lounge. I think that was the one in Denver on the way back from New Orleans, so don't quote me on that. I love taking a shower in a lounge. I've only done it 4 or 5 times, but I really enjoyed those 4 or 5 times. It was very warm and nice and relaxing. I get so sweaty when flying because, when you're sitting on the tarmac waiting to take off, it's super hot because for some reason they can't engage the full air conditioning. And then you take off and you get up in the sky and you freeze to death. And then you land and you get hot again and everybody's standing there waiting to deboard. You go down the jet ramp and all of a sudden you walk from a airplane out into whatever kind of weather it is. I sweat a lot on the day of flying. So having a shower during your layover, which being in Des Moines, I almost always have a layover, is super nice. So what they announced is that the Priority Pass version, as well as the Capital One lounges themselves, they announced it in June, but it won't go into effect until I think February or January. You're not going to get free guests anymore. It's just you. So great for a solo traveler, but not perfect for a family man like myself. So I want to bring in all 3 of my other family members, my wife and 2 kids. I will now have to pay $375 more. It's $175 each. Now, obviously, I think if you do the math, I think if you're going in twice, just pay to bring in a guest. If it's 3 or more times, it's cheaper to pay for your authorized user to get in. You can get authorized user cards for free, but if you want to have lounge access, you have to pay the $125 per person. So that was definitely a bummer. Definitely a dip of the wet sock or the dry sock into the puddle on the ground. Chad's Money Minutes is here, the official Chad's Money Minute channel. Yo, Dugroz. Yo, Chad. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And Rel Costa says, I hope you're feeling better, Chad's Money Minutes. Missed you at the Puerto Rico meetup. Yeah, likewise. I didn't know there was any illness involved. I'm sorry to hear that. Hope you are feeling better. 75 people on board. Awesome. Thanks for those of you who've clicked thumbs up. Surely somebody's going to write this many people on board, but only this many have clicked thumbs up. Number 6, Wells Fargo's Golden Ponies artwork eliminated. And this was as of June 10th, 2025. So this is the officially called the Wells Fargo Visa Signature Card. This is a grandfathered credit card. And I have it. I got it back when I worked for Wells Fargo in 2007-ish. Bottom left is what it used to look like. Beautiful golden ponies, 3 sets of 2 pulling a stagecoach across the fields. Of course, Wells Fargo started out delivering things in the Wild West. On June 10th, they changed it to this very dull and boring, ordinary card design that kind of matches the autograph and the autograph journey, and they just call it rewards. It's so plain, it's painful. Let me show you this in real life. I did break them out here. So here we go. This is my wife's card, not mine, because mine, I put it somewhere. I don't remember where I put it. Oh man, I wish this had better focus, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Now it does have the actual number on the bottom, which is why I have to cover. So there's the original Golden Ponies card. And this is what it looks like now. Oh, look how lame that is. Just plain, boring. Now, I did have a workaround. One of my channel members and friends of the channel, Fly and Ryan, said that he has some family members that work in screen printing, and he can help me out. So he made a sticker and mailed it to me, and I've put it on top of my dumb-looking Wells Fargo card. And now it looks like this. It's actually called the Golden Ponies card. Dugroz Reports Membership 2007. So this is an actual credit card. It just has a little sticker on top. I'm not sure how it would work if I had to insert it, but the tap to pay will still work just fine. Now, this card only earns 1 point per dollar, so it's not exactly a good earner card, but its superpower is that it gets 1.5x on flights in the portal. So it kind of turns it into a no annual fee miniature CSR. So I'm going to be keeping that card for a long, long time. And then, yeah, so that wasn't great. And it made the biggest fan of the card, Philmo, say this: RIP Golden Ponies, run free, ride like the wind. They can't hurt you now. So yes, we're all very disappointed by that one. Let's see. Going back, catching up on comments here. QC Man says Philmo's devastated over this one. Yep, we proved that. Dennis Dunn says, "Ha, I was right. No ponies card." You were right indeed. I was trying my best not to give away the lead. JP says, "Pay yourself on Aeroplan is great for hotel stays. I use it for Hyatt's more now because transferring Chase points to Hyatt in so many instances is worse. Sad how low Hyatt points have dropped in the last year." So I think you did a video and you made a great point that I agree with. Basically, if you're staying at a Hyatt, just run the math. If it's better than 1.65 cents per point, use your Hyatt transfer. If it's worse than 1.65, use your Aeroplan card. And for JP, especially as a solo traveler, unless something's changed, he's going to go through that 200,000 points a lot slower than I will with 4 people. I said use it things like tolls, ferries, parking lots, dam parking lots, sometimes even like a gift shop might code, national parks, those kind of things. Chase has a pretty broad definition of travel because that's mostly how I use it, but I would be willing to use it for a hotel. And in fact, I did. My wife's Aeroplan card was used up 3/4. It was used by the Hampton Inn in York, United Kingdom last summer. Because it was under half a cent per point. I think it was something really bad, like 0.32 or something along those lines. Chad from Chad's Money Minute says, "Yeah, man, I was pretty sick, but I'm back to 100% now. I didn't get better till the middle of November. I don't know where I picked up that bug." Oh, sorry, but I'm super glad you're better now. Nuracan has arrived, says, "Congrats on your 100th live." Thanks, Nuracan. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a diehard. John's excited to see Chad. Maybe they'll go hang out in Kearney, Nebraska together again. Source King says, "My Air Canada flight being 5 hours delayed yesterday deserves a wet sock." Indeed. Chad says hi to John. And Studio TK is the first one to drop the coveted $1.49 super sticker. Celebrate, celebrate. Thanks so much, Studio TK. And I got to get 1,000 Dugroz points for you. Let's see. Oh, it's in my glasses case. There you go. 1,000 Dugroz points. New Again says, "JP is still keeping our relationship a secret. Shake my head. Late. What did I miss?" We're doing the Wet Sock Awards. So you or a bank or credit card issuer or rewards program can earn a Wet Sock trophy if they have the thing that disappointed me the most in the past year-ish. Next on the Wet Sock watch list is number 7. City Rewards Plus was discontinued, and a 10% points rebate was lost. So I actually still have this card. On the left is what it used to look like, and I haven't got the new design yet. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Right here. It's actually in my wallet right now. It became the City Strata card, which is on the right of your screen. So here it is right here. My City Rewards Plus card, which is now officially a Strata card, although it's still the original card design. This card used to offer a 10% points rebate on thank you points up to 100,000 per year. So basically 100,000 used per year. So it was 10,000 points in bonus. So basically, if you had a double cash, which was a two points everywhere card, it functionally was a 2.2. If it was a 3x category, it became 3.3. If it was a custom cash, it was 5. It functionally became 5.5. So it made the everyday earnings even better. Now, there was also this weird roundup feature, but that was only beneficial for purchases under $5 or some severe strategery. But on July 20th of this year, they're like, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. Now, one partial redeeming factor is the City Strata card is actually a fairly good card in its own right. 3x on grocery, 3x on gas, and 2x on dining. The only reason why that's not that, and then there's one choose your own category, but they're kind of obscure categories that, in my case, either don't work out or there's something else that covers them better. If I eventually upgrade to the Strata Premier, which I plan to do, it already covers all of those categories, so it kind of becomes an extraneous card. So yeah, I was bummed to see that extra 10% rebate go. So at least a little bit of a wet sock for City. LOL from JP Knowledge. Zizus Christus here puts a W in to feed the algorithm. Thanks for keeping us over 70 people on board. Number 8, the US Bank Altitude Reserve announces the end of 1.5x on real-time rewards. This hasn't happened yet. It goes into effect in the middle of December, but it was announced on July 28th, 2025. So yeah, lots of people were speculating this would make the watch list, and you know what? It sure did. So if you've been living in a barn and you aren't sure, the US Bank Altitude Reserve is a card that lives on your mobile wallet because it earns 3x on mobile wallets. It is a discontinued card. They no longer offer it. But if you're grandfathered in like me, like John R., like Chad Pennycuff, like Stan the Credit Frog, like a bunch of other people, you've been using this to great effect. And one of the things that was best about it was 1.5x on real-time rewards, a boost up on the redemptions. So if you had, say, 10,000 points, normally that would be worth $100. But if you use it for travel in conjunction with these real-time rewards, you'd get $150 in value. Now, that may not sound like a lot, an extra $50, but that's 33.3%. And I often would get up to the point where I had like 50,000 points used in a year. So that's $750 versus $500. So that's $250 in value. I mostly used it for rental cars. That's why I have a picture of a rental car there at the bottom. There was this great synergy with it. First of all, it had a $400 annual fee, a $325 annual travel or dining credit. And that was a credit, not a portal coupon. That's another thing that's disappointing. A friend of the channel, Spaithco, reminded me of. Not only are they losing the 1.5x, they're also losing the credit is changing to a portal coupon. So if I rent directly from Avis, Enterprise, Hertz, National, whatever, I don't get that credit anymore. I have to go through the US Bank portal, which might be the best value occasionally, but most of the time it's not going to be. So I can't pair that with things like Rakuten anymore. I can't go out and use AutoSlash to hunt for a deal that's $10 better. So that synergy is getting lost. It also had, still does have primary rental car insurance. And then it was just the perfect system for rental cars. So that's going away. That's on the watch list with a bullet. That is definitely a wet sock coming right around the corner. Rel says, boo hiss, US Bank Altitude Reserve. Gabester H9B. Don't know that we've met before. Gabester, good to see you. That also has me feeding the algorithm. Thank you. Spartan of Finance says the US bar nerf hit hard. QCMS says, I thought the discontinuation would have saved the nerf, but alas, it didn't. Oh, it was closed to new applicants about a year ago. That's right. Chris Sevi says, I booked a luau in Hawaii with US Bank Altitude Reserve portal at 1.5. I still hold out hope. You're still going to be able to use their portal at 1.5, but not real-time rewards. So no more, same thing with the Aeroplan Caravan. No more Hoover Dam parking lot. No more random parking garage. No more ferries or train rides in the United Kingdom. Luke is here. How you doing, Luke? Thanks for having me on last Thursday. Check out the live stream he did on Thursday. I was the guest. If you haven't yet, I really appreciate it. Luke says, I'm going to watch the replay when I get home. It's Christmas shopping for myself. Awesome. Couple people saying hi to Luke. And then New Again says, I redeemed all my U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve points. I haven't put any spend on it since October for its last Europe trip. FYI, the official day of the NERF is December 15th. Thank you. And I'm the same way. I basically used up all my points that went in the sock drawer. I know they're going to be getting transfer partners, but until we know what they are, I'm not going to risk it. Gabester says, yeah, I don't post in the chat that much, but I'm always here, my friend. Thank you, Gabester. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's good to feed the algorithm a little today. But just watching the background's appreciated too. Number 9, large-scale Hilton devaluations. Now, this actually occurred throughout the year this year, but the most recent one was on September 9th, or the really bad one was on September 9th. And basically, it came out that some of their highest end properties have gone up in price, but a lot of people also speculated like the same kind of like Hampton Inns, Hilton Gardens Inns, those kind of things that they had used repeatedly have also gone up in price. So a couple months ago, I did a live stream where I looked at my last, it was either 4, 5, or 6, something like that, Hilton stays for places I actually stayed. And a lot of these are like lower end to mid end properties, you know, nothing more than like a Hilton by Hilton. You might have a DoubleTree. You do have a DoubleTree. You might have a Garden Inn. You do have a Garden Inn. You might have a Hampton. You do have a Hampton. So I went back and said, when I booked this a year ago or a year prior, this is how many points it took. And when, or not how many points took, this is what the cents per point was, which took into account current prices. If I book now for the future, this is how many cents per point it is. As you can see here on the screen, the average of those 5 or so properties went from 0.65 cents per point down to 0.49 cents per point, which is a 25% devaluation based on my experience. Now, obviously, your mileage may vary, YMMV, because you might have better cents per point, worse cents per point, etc. But it does definitely dip the toe of the sock into the ice cube puddle there for Hilton. That is a totally legit devaluation to call out. And I know someone's going to say like, well, inflation, you can earn more points now, so of course they have to charge more. And while that's true, it's still a major bummer. QC Man says, I don't think the portal will be 1.5x if I recall correctly. I think everything is 1x. You're back on the altitude reserve now, and you may be right. I just plain don't remember. Rem says, US Bar is hands down the biggest disappointment. Slam dunk winner of the Wet Sock Award. JP Knowledge says, the math is more than 1.625 for hotels since you also earn points. That's a good point. That's a good point. I've been factoring earning points in more lately because if I also earn 10,000 points in the future, that is future value that isn't there for redemptions. Yep, you're right. You are certainly right. RemGB also wants to emphasize even more that it's hands down the biggest disappointment. Tap to pay is ubiquitously, especially overseas. Is ubiquitous, especially overseas. So no foreign transaction fee plus 4.5% on all foreign expenses. Yep, it is a thing, that's for sure. New Again confirms portal redemption for the altitude reserve is going down to 1 cent per point. So yeah, they didn't just dip the toe of the sock in the puddle. They like stepped in it and smushed it around for a while and then spilled a cup of water on top of it. And here JP says, I just got approved for the US Bank Altitude Business Connect card. I wonder if this card will add transfer partners or just the bar. If not, I still get $600. Money face. Praise hands. Yeah, that's a good card. That's a great one. Both of the connects are pretty good. All right. So that's number 9. I think there's 13 total. Number 10, the US Bank. Sorry. Number 10, American Express Business Platinum loses the 35% rebate for any first or business class flight. And this went into effect on September 17th, 2025. So bottom left hat tip to frequent miler. Reminder that the major devaluation for the Business Platinum ends the 35% point rebate on business and first class flights as of 9/17. And on the bottom right, of course, a picture of the card in question. So if you aren't familiar with it, the American Express Business Platinum used to allow you to book with a chosen airline. You have to commit at the beginning of each year what your chosen airline is going to be, and then you get a 35% rebate on flights with that airline. On top of that, they used to say if you booked any first or business class flight, on top of that, you could get a 35% rebate as well. What changed on September 17th was the last part, the any business or first class flight. So as an example, I had picked Delta for my preferred airline, or let's just say I picked Delta for my preferred airline. Any Delta flight would be a 35% rebate, but if I want to fly first class in American, I can't get the rebate anymore. And that actually kind of mattered for someone like me that was a free agent. I didn't use this a lot, but I did use it a couple times. As an example, when I was working through the Condor debacle, we needed to reposition from Des Moines, Iowa to New York City. So I booked an American Airlines flight through this, got the 35% rebate, because first class with the rebate was only slightly more than paying a cash ticket would be without just paying cash. So a lot of those kind of, you sit up front on a Canadair jet or a CRJ or something like that. Those seats are what make it tolerable. I ended up not using that. I had to reschedule it, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, I had used that a couple times. So big bummer that one is going away. That was very useful for free agents like myself. Anthony Venture feeding the algorithm. Fargonaut says, doesn't Wells Fargo Autograph allow you to choose our card art? I can create a permanent Golden Ponies autograph, ? They have not as of now. In the card design studio, it works for the autograph, but on my former Golden Ponies card, it won't let me change the art. I wonder if I have to have the new crappy card for at least a year before it lets me change it. If it does let me change it in the future, I will definitely keep you posted. David Williams said credit cards definitely got worse this year. New Again says, I expect the U.S. Bank Connect to go through changes mid to late 2026. Clearly a money loser for U.S. Bank, and they like to tinker with cards even before 2025. QC Man says to JP, I'd assume they'll add it for the Connect since they both use altitude points, but I guess we'll see. Plus, you get 4 Priority Pass restaurant passes you can taunt your CSR friends with. That is a great point. Unless something great happens, I will probably change my Altitude Reserve into an Altitude Connect Consumer Edition. That's my thought as of right now, at least. All right, next on the watch list, number 11, the CSR eliminates 1.5x for all new earnings and has an annual fee increase. And you no longer get 3x for miscellaneous portal, miscellaneous travel, and I think we all know kind of what happened here, but the one that I'm focusing on, again, for an independent agent like me, I didn't use it a lot, but it was always nice with the CSR to know worst case scenario, I can book a flight at 1.5x. That's actually how I got home from New Orleans at the Creator Meetup. That's how I got to Puerto Rico, was just the plain old CSR portal. I'm grandfathered in at 1.5x for any points earned before October of this year, although I've already used a bunch of them on my Hyatt booking for the next Creator Meetup. So that's going to run out real fast. And that went into effect on October 26th. So I think we all know all about that one. Number 12. Wyndham announces the end of the Vacasa partnership. It was announced on October 30th. So for those of you who don't know, Vacasa is a vacation rental program where you can book cottages, condos, those sorts of things in the United States. You used to be able to book them with Wyndham for 15,000 points per bedroom per night, up to the caps I mentioned on item number 1. But that partnership is going away. Some people say it's because of Vacasa. They were bought out by a company called Casago, who took it away. But it's not only ending, it's ending abruptly. So you have until the last day of this month to book, and you have to stay by the last month of January. I did a live stream 2 or 3 weeks ago, bottom left, called Wyndham to Vacasa Ruined, group therapy session. Bottom right is a Vacasa. My family actually stayed out in northern Wisconsin. I think it was in 2022. Don't quote me on that. So I have used Vacasa a couple times. And I even had it as part of my plan for everyday spend going ahead to use the Wyndham Earner business card specifically for Vacasa. So this one did hurt quite a lot. Rel Cost says, there goes the other wet sock. And yeah, definitely a wet sock on that one. Number 13, the Chase Ink train slowly derails. This was November 13th. So this one was less than a month ago. Now, having said that, it's been a slow derailment. There have been different things that have happened. The first thing was lots of data points just saying it's getting harder to get multiple Chase Ink cards, that if you have 3 or more cards, the odds are only like 20%. Then they made it so that the referral bonus wasn't as big. I think it went from 40K down to 10K. Then they said the referral bonus is only for people who've never had the card before. And then sort of the thing that was the ultimate, in my mind, devaluation here, hat tip Doctor of Credit, they added restrictive language to their cards, which basically is what I showed you in the Dugroz data points. If you've ever had an ink card before, you may not be eligible for the sign-up bonus. So, and I went to the comment section of the Dr. Credit article, lots of people saying, yep, that's exactly what happened to me. I applied for a second or third or fourth one and got the pop-up that says, nope, you can't have that anymore. I just got an Ink Unlimited like right before this went into effect. So I feel really lucky, but I have a feeling the ink train is coming to an end. Ronald Who says, or Whozo says, cheers to the 100th episode, Doug. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anthony Venture says, Ink Train is my Wet Sock Trophy Award winner. QC Man says the Ink Train derailment sucks. Anthony, how many ink cards have you ever, you and your wife put together, ever got a sign-up bonus on all time? Let us know. Sleepy Rod says, I was over 524 and was planning to ride that ink train hard, but 'twas not meant to be. Now, it says you may not get the sign-up bonus. You can always go through the process, see what happens. New Again says, 2025 was indeed bad, but City's plot twist improved the script. And the new, excuse me. Well, that was awkward. Sorry. I'll start over. New Again. 2025 was indeed bad, but City's plot twist improved the script. I assume you mean them getting both Preferred Hotels and American Airlines. And the new CSR is an improvement, and it's better than the new Platinum. But since it's hard to earn UR points, there's kind of no gain there. Valid points, valid points. YouTube Experiment says, I will be driving and listening as usual on my way home from work. Thanks, YouTube Experiment. Clearly, Anthony Venture says, Rel, that was your gravy tame. Anthony says 6 cards, 75 to 90K each, about 650 Chase UR, I'd say after referrals between wife and I, and spend for the subs. Absolutely. Totally legit. All right. So now we've had the watch list and what we think will happen, but we need to have actual nominees. So this is an award show. What you're watching right now is the award show. And you know how they announce who the nominees are before giving out the awards. So that's what we're going to do right now. Here to present the nominees of the Wet Sock Award is a person who needs no introduction, but's going to get an introduction anyway. This person is a fellow content creator on YouTube. This person now has over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. And in the not too distant future, this person will be staying at the most dangerous hotel in America. Yes, it is friend of the channel, Anthony Venture, here to present the nominees for the Wet Sock Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. So, the reason we are all here today is because there is one thing that has affected basically all of us who are watching this right now. And that is that every bank and every award program has at some point taken advantage of us and has taken us for granted. But only the most disappointing of them all, only the one that really hurts us the most right when we need it, can be officially nominated for the Dugroz Wet Sock Award. And while we have our wet sock here fully soaked and ready to go, I think it's time to announce the nominees for this year's Wet Sock Award. Because, well, it's not every day that a bank can take advantage, take away a valuable benefit, or devalue a program that we once loved. And so for those that can and those that do, they should be celebrated. So without further ado, here are the nominees for this year's Wet Sock Award. The first nominee on our list today is the Wyndham Rewards Program, and that they unfortunately terminated their partnership with Vacasa. And I can think of one person in this room right now that was very, very upset about that. I know, it's terrible to see, absolutely terrible. The second on our list is the U.S. Bank program, in that they actually, unfortunately, not that long ago, have terminated the 1.5 cent redemptions through their real-time rewards. One thing that people really, really loved, unfortunately, has hit its untimely demise. The third nominee on our list today is Chase Bank, and unfortunately, they have likely been watching Dugroz's videos, because where once was a perfect magical wasteland where you can actually pay yourself back up to 1.25x back on the Chase Aeroplan card, they have now unfortunately added a cap to the amount you can do every single year. I know, it hurts me too. And last but not least, kind of a double whammy, the fourth nominee is also going to Chase Bank for the horrible, horrible derailment of the Chase Inc. train. Unfortunately, it looks like that train has really made it to its last stop. And while any one of these award programs or banks is totally deserving in their disappointment for being able to be awarded the winner of the Dugroz Wet Sock Award, there can only be one that is the most disappointing. And well, I'm getting word that we actually do have the winner. The results and the polls are in, so let me check it out right here. Just give me one moment. Let's see. And the winner is Ariana Grande and her performance for Wicked. Sorry, wait, wrong one. Let me grab the other one here. Just a second. No, here we are. This is the correct one. Now, the winner of the 2025 Dugroz Wet Sock Award is U.S. Bank for eliminating 1.5x on your real-time rewards. Come on down and win your Wet Sock Award, baby. Come on down.
Well, it turns out that the winner of the Wet Sock Award, U.S. Bank, wasn't able to be here today in person. Thank you so much, Anthony. But the good news is we did get a live stream set up at the U.S. Bank headquarters in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we will bring a representative forward at this time to accept the award. So let's go ahead and do that now. Here to accept the award on behalf of U.S. Bank, Chief Financial Officer John Stern.
Thank you so much, everyone. I don't know what to say. I wish I could be there in person with all of you, but I'm a very busy businessman here at U.S. Bank, making decisions that will disappoint everyone in both the near future and in the long run. You know, as we were thinking about how we might be eligible for this award, the first ever Wet Sock Award sponsored by Dugroz, we thought to ourselves, you know, we have a lot of fantastic products and we want to ruin them. But more specifically, we want to ruin them for one specific person. And that one specific person is Dugroz Reports. Dugroz has been an important part of the U.S. Bank family for many years. He's had a savings or checking account since he was a young boy in Ottumwa, Iowa. And we've seen the videos of how much he loved the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve and used it regularly and got great value on especially rental cars, but all different kinds of travel, and how much he loved how it was integrated with the primary rental car insurance and those kind of things. And he was a real advocate for the card too, always telling other people about how great the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve is. So we thought to ourselves, how can we ruin that? And it took us a long time. I mean, it was almost a year between when we closed the card to new applicants and figured out this epic devaluation that'll make it so that there's really no benefit to using it anymore in the way that Dugroz most like to use those real-time rewards. So we removed the 1.5x. We took it down to just a simple penny per point, just like you can get on any other card out there, removing everything that made it great. And I have to say, I'm so proud of my team that implemented this major devaluation. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to everyone who made it possible, and especially thank you, Dugroz Reports. I'm so grateful to have won the first ever wet sock trophy on behalf of US Bank. Thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations again, John. Way to go on winning the award this year. And a little more specifically, we'll leave this here at the Dugroz headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa. You can come down next time you're in Iowa and pick it up here. It's only about 3.5 hours to get here from Minneapolis, so we'll just put it on the shelf and leave it for you. You can, like I said, whenever it's handy, just swing on by and pick it up. Actually, let's put it on the other side. I'm glad that John grew a beard. Now he just needs glasses. I think he'd be even more attractive. So there we have it. Yes, the winner of the 2025 Dugroz Reports Wet Sock Trophy is US Bank for nerfing the altitude reserve, making it worse in many different ways, but most of all, taking away that beautiful synergy that 1.5x brought. Remember, this is a me-centric award, so the winning program is the one that ruins it for me, Dugroz, the most. Let's catch up on some comments here, and then we'll break this down a little more in terms of this is now the segment where the commentators talk about why certain people won the award after it's done. Where were we? Oh boy, we got a lot of comments here. I think we started right about here. Anthony Venture mentioning the trophy. Thank you for going into the studio and being there ready to go live and in person to present that, Anthony. I have a room right next door. Anthony's in there right now, but I think he's got to get back to South Carolina, so he's probably taking his private jet from the Des Moines Regional Airport right now. John liked it. Rel liked it. Sleepy Rod knew that he was a stud. Ian liked it. QC Man. David Williams liked Anthony's outfit. Ronald was excited. Sleepy Rod says this is better than any actual award shows. At least I know the results aren't rigged. I saw you put this up while his speech was going. You predicted US Bank, and you were right. Rem called it US Bank Altitude Reserve for the win. Rel liked it. John had a feeling Altitude Reserve would win. Mike liked it. MR said that John Stern, the CFO of US Bank, needs a stern talking to. I agree with that. Sleepy Rod thought the ink train would take it away. That's who I voted for. Rel liked the line in John's speech, said, "We have many amazing financial products and we want to ruin them." Flying Ryan said that ran out of steam, presumably referencing the ink train. Now the ink train had to end smartly too, but US Bank Altitude Reserve was cold. I agree with that. A lot of people applauding the choice here. Flying Ryan had to step away, and hey, you revealed the Golden Ponies card. Yeah, Ryan, you're a little behind. Just wait for about 20 minutes. You'll be very excited. Rel is summarizing what John said. We listened to our customers and made the program simpler and more digestible. Oh, that's what the press release said. My US Bank used to be a superstar that forgot they had an audience to please. I agree with that. Dennis Dunn loves the award show. Philmo said that US Bank guy looks like a pork chop fan. Do they have good pork chops in Minneapolis? Maybe they do. Anthony says, amazing, Dugroz. This seems to be a yearly tradition. I've thought about it. I didn't say the first annual because I can't guarantee it. Do I do it annually? Do I do it on live streams that end with 100? Like I'll do it in my 200th episode. Let's think that over a little bit. Yuri G says, I just talked to US Bank a few days ago and they don't know which partners they will have. Well, the people in the call center don't know. Thanks for being here, Yuri. And QC said that sock isn't wet, Dugroz. The one on the trophy is wet. I dipped it in water at the beginning of the show. Guaranteed. Yeah. And then I reached through the little hole in the wall that goes into the recording studio and handed it to Anthony. Yuri G also said they said they'll announce those partners on December 15th. Flying Ryan says, gonna need a wet sock. New Again says, y'all funny, but everyone forgets Wyndham Caesar status match ended in 2025 also. And Wyndham moved a lot of properties out of 15K to a 30K night. The second one, definitely applicable. The first one about Wyndham Caesars. Remember, this is a me-centric awards show. I'm very self-centered. I'm not really a Caesars casino kind of guy. There is one in Iowa up in Waterloo, and I've thought about maybe using my Wyndham points for a night there. My wife and I can get away from it all. Anthony says, thanks for asking me to hope. Can I grab a sandwich for your fridge before I go? Yeah, absolutely. Use the little fridge in the garage, please. Sandwich. There we go. US Bank Altitude Connect is still pretty good. Okay. Luke liked it. Fargonaut liked the line about we want to ruin them. Dennis wants me to do this annually. Okay, well, let me think that over a little bit here. Okay, so now the commentators will talk about why the award went to US Bank and think through some of that. So let me talk about the 4 finalists and why they were finalists. First was the end of Vacasa, and you had to know that was going to make the finalist list, the final 4. Whether it was Wyndham's fault or not, it just really stinks for me because I'd kind of planned not my entire domestic travel strategy, but a good portion of it, maybe like 20 to 25% around staying at Vacasas. I really like out-of-the-way places, like things in the middle of the woods, waterfalls, less crowded beaches, mountains, those kind of things. So kind of your non-downtowny type places, and Vacasa fit that perfectly. When you think about the Wyndham Earner business card, you get 8 points per dollar at gas stations, and I value my points at Vacasa at 1.25, so that's effectively a 10% cash back equivalent. And it was just so easy to do. That's another reason why I'm really disappointed. So yeah, Vacasa definitely was worthy of being a nominee. As they say, it's an honor just to be nominated. End of Real-Time Rewards was the second nominee, and we'll touch base on that once I talk about why they were the winner. The Pay Yourself Back cap at Aeroplan, that one also hit me kind of hard, although there's a couple redeeming factors. The first time I used it, I really used it a lot for well over 200,000 points. And it would be nice to be able to put all my Aeroplan points into one card and use it that way. Because Chase lets you move points within a household, I could move points that my wife earned over to my CSR, then transfer it to Aeroplan, then use it. I wouldn't have to have a whole second card. The redeeming factor, and probably the reason why they didn't win, is because you can double that by getting 2 cards. That only applies in a 2-player household. Now, you do have to pay an extra $95 to work that out, but I can send points from me to the wife to me, and then divvy that out. The other redeeming factor is it still exists. So even though they capped it, at least they didn't eliminate it. If they had eliminated it, I would say there's a good chance that would have been the winner. And then the fourth one was the Ink Train derailment. And I think you can make some arguments for that being the winner. But again, this is me-centric, and I'm kind of shifting over to City anyway. Now, obviously, you use Chase points to feed the Aeroplan card, but I think with enough strategery on my rotating category cards, paying for pharmacy on my Freedom Flex, those kind of things, I think I can probably still earn enough points to, and assuming Aeroplan keeps their 20% transfer bonus from Chase going at least once or twice a year, I think I can still earn enough points to do close to that 200,000 a year if I use Chase points for nothing else. The Ink Train derailing is probably the winner of thing that affects everyone the most, because not everybody stays at Vacasa, not everybody rents cars, not everybody does a bunch of little ancillary things like traveling that can't be paid in other ways, like Viator, ferries, boat rides, etc., etc. Oh, that was one of the big ones I used my Aeroplan card for, was a boat ride in Sweden. That was pretty sweet. That was pretty Swede. Are you still on here, Source King? The Ink Train derailment's pretty bad, but that's more universally bad, not just a Dugroz reports type bad. So with that in mind, as we know, the winner was the end of Real-Time Rewards, as Anthony let us know, and John from US Bank came forward to accept his rewards. The reason why I felt like this was the winner, and second place probably would have been the Vacasa thing, is the US Bank Altitude Reserve with the 1.5, with the $325 annual credit that was a true credit, not a coupon, It was a self-contained mechanism that answered all the problems I needed answered about rental cars. Do I need primary collision damage waiver? Check. The altitude reserve has that. Do I need some sort of incentive or sweetener that I can use on rental cars every year? Check. The $325 credit offsets all but $75 of the annual fee. And on top of that, US Bank, as John said, they really like me. So they gave me a retention offer of at least 5,000 points every year to make up that extra $75. So functionally, the altitude reserve was sort of like a no annual fee card for me on a net basis. I know there's certain things you can say about opportunity cost and so forth, and those are somewhat valid. Thirdly, I'm earning the points with tap to pay, and I know some people would say, like, well, you can always pay with something else that earns 3 points per dollar at a gas station or a hotel or a grocery store. But it was the obscure things when you weren't working on a sign-up bonus that made it great. Like my dentist's office takes tap to pay. My sleep apnea doctor's office takes tap to pay. My wife went to a dermatologist that took tap to pay. So lots of medical providers. I was finding out having a MacBook, there was more and more things that would take tap to pay with a MacBook that you could just put your finger on the fingerprint pad and do tap to pay, and that counted for real-time rewards. There were things like football tickets when going to a visiting school for my son's game. Just lots of ways to use it. And then, of course, the 1.5 answered the question of how can I use points more efficiently than 1.5 cents per point on rental cars and not worry about taking a haircut because it's through a portal. So that one card answered all of those questions. And the reason why this is the winner is because it left me holding the bag. I no longer have a good solution for rental cars. I'm now going to go through ways I've used this on rental cars in the past just to show how big of an effect it was. So this goes back to 2020 when my teenage boys were a lot smaller, 5 years ago. We rented a car in Central Arkansas for sort of a COVID social distancing vacation we took. This is me in Kaskaskia, Illinois, the only town in Illinois that's west of the Mississippi River, visiting the Liberty Bell of the West. That's a rental car. This is a rental car in Wheeling, West Virginia, when I went to look at the bridge in West Virginia. This is in Yorktown, Virginia, when I stayed right in downtown Yorktown, Virginia, where the Revolutionary War ended. This is in Panama City Beach, Florida. And the bottom right was Foley, Alabama, right next to each other there in the panhandle of Florida when I went there for a rip trip. This is in Las Vegas, the first creator meetup. I rented a car. I think it was a midsize, and they upgraded me to this honking huge SUV. This is on my way to Foley, Alabama to see the solar eclipse of, I think that was 2023 in the spring, Ziegler, Illinois. This is on my way to visit Blackwater Falls in West Virginia, stopped at a random cemetery. This is in Washington, D.C. After we were downtown, we went to the Salamander Resort, which is this picture here, and see George Washington's Mount Vernon. I forgot to take a picture of the rental car itself, but I do have a picture of me pointing at the Hertz gold member thing, which that was fun. You could get gold status with Hertz through the Venture X, but then use your altitude reserve to pay. You don't have to pay with the Venture X. This is me in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, when I drove up from New Orleans. And remember, I went to the top of the Capitol building, and there was this really weird guy named Joey. I think his name was Joey that I met at the top of the Louisiana State Capitol building. This is me on the Illinois Route 66 Brick Road near Springfield, Illinois. I went to see Lincoln's tomb, and there was some fall foliage. That was last year, so a full year ago. That was awesome. Rented a car. And this is my most recent one, number 12. Went to Albany, New York. I saw Matt Clausen. I saw some presidential graves. I saw the Capitol of New York. I got a parking ticket for parking in front of this tall-ish building. So those are the number of times I know with certainty I've used the altitude reserve. I've had some rental cars at other times, like most recently where I rented with some other cards. I ran out of my altitude reserve points. And there was one or two that I weren't sure on, but I'm confident, 80% confident, at least 12 times since I've gotten to points and miles, I've rented with US Bank's altitude reserve and used that for epic value with real-time rewards. My son is asking me a question here. Let me just answer him. There's a Iowa State football game going on right now. Probably about 15 to 20 minutes, but you can start, period. And then a good question worth asking is, how am I going to replace the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve for rentals? I'm honestly not sure. When I went to Puerto Rico, I rented a car and I put it on my Venture X, which covers me for the primary collision damage waiver, but it doesn't do a lot for using the points at something better than 1 cent per point. You can use them for 1 cent per point. But again, I really would like having better value than that. Do any of you have suggestions on what would be a good rental car card for me moving forward? And because I like to cover all my travel, that the redemption matters far more than the earnings do. There we go. That's the end of the presentation. Let's catch up on some comments, and then our presentation will come to the end soon here. Zizza says, I always get a kick out of people calling customer service reps and ask them about things like transfer partner stuff. RemGB says you should try to do a live poll like Stan does. Still, you can add a poll to the community post, see what others think would be the worst for you. Okay, I'll consider that. D Green says, this was awesome. We just need a Dugroz song to close us out. I thought about doing a song, didn't get around to it. Zach Kinsey Music says, best show ever. Congratulations on 100. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it. Thanks for being a channel member. I have seen the name Zach Kinsey around before. I don't even remember this avatar or the music at the end, so maybe you changed it. Awesome. Sleepy Rod says, as long as all the contestants had fun, that's what matters. Absolutely. Filmo says, I've rented a car twice in 52 years. Source King said I had to step out for some poutine, but I'm still here. Awesome. What did I say? Pretty sweet boat ride. Pretty Swede boat ride. Yeah. Studio TK says it took me acquiring 3 new cards to somewhat cover for the loss of the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve. It took an army to replace the king. QC Man wants to know if Filmo's a taxi and Uber guy on vacation to just buy new cars. And he says, Filmo hates driving. I'll walk before I choose to drive. New Again says U.S. Bank was indeed the GOAT. I went 2 for 2 on insurance claims. I can't say that for Amex Platinum. RIP U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve. I'm glad I never had to make a insurance claim during my 12 opportunities. Gabester says, how do you like driving in Puerto Rico? It was fine. Like the busier streets were it was weird. Sometimes you'd have 2 lanes and then the road markings would just disappear. And like you didn't know when you were supposed to merge. Up on the roads in the mountains, I really love that. I will have a Driving with Dugroz video about the mountains of Puerto Rico coming soon. Dennis says IHG Premier gives you 5x on travel. Yeah, but that's 5 IHG points, which is like 2.5 of anything else. And how are you supposed to, pay yourself back or whatever? So that's not going to be the replacement. Hey, QC Man says, good start by Iowa State. I'm glad. Please don't give it away, though. I'm going to go watch the video soon. Gabester said, I lived there for 35 years and still get stressed when I drive there when I go to visit. Oh, that's cool. Awesome. And Tico Pura Taravadia Trader 121 says, the city portal is my go-to for car rental, so I use the city's Strada Premier. Oh, okay. Are they pretty fair in that portal? And New Again says, U.S. Bank insurance claims were for purchase and travel, not auto incidents. Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to say just as good, but also pretty good. All right, we need to get to our community tab questions here. So every Friday evening, I post a community tab question with a picture, and you're supposed to guess where the picture is taken. Oh, I will pause to mention somebody dropped a tip in the tip jar. It was Tim. Congratulations on your 100th, $10. Celebrate. Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that. So here's the picture that I shared. Oop, need to share a different screen. Right there. Hey, it's a picture of me and Debra's. Looks like we're out to eat, so you're supposed to guess where that was done. So let's get to those questions right now. So if you put a question on here, I'll try my best to answer it. Luke Johnson says, what's your biggest positive surprise in points and miles this year? The opposite of the Wet Sock Award. Well, it would be one of 2 things. One would be City landing American Airlines as a 1-to-1 transfer partner. That's pretty epic. Or the other one would be actually getting approved for the Saver card, which I've been wanting to do for about 5 years now, maybe 3 years now. And that just happened this week. So Yeah, I guess I'd say it's the redemption of City probably is the biggest one. Too Easy says, no questions, but thanks for bringing up the Vacasa news. I was able to book a vacation for 8 of us in January. Excuse me, staycation. I will miss my Vacasa rentals. Right there with you, Too Easy. D Green says, regarding the Vacasa news, what do you predict will be the next credit card travel benefit to get nerfed? Ooh. Well, first of all, it would be awesome if somebody else picked up Vacasa as a direct transfer partner. Vacasa does have some sort of rewards. I don't know what they are. Wells Fargo, if you're listening, opportunity is knocking. Pick up Vacasa. What do I think will be the next great nerf? Let's see. Amex, Chase, Wells Fargo, Citi. I feel like it's going to be something on Citi with all the interest in American Airlines. I don't know what it'll be. I wouldn't be surprised if Citi says you only get 1-to-1 on American if you have the Strata Elite. That's just a guess, though. Luke Johnson guesses the picture was taken at the Brick House restaurant in Wyckoff, New Jersey. No, but good guess. Bob Travels guesses this was taken at the original Bob's Big Boy in Burbank, California. No, but good guess. AZ Fox, also known as Mojo, says, I'll be there. I think he means on this particular live stream. You still here, Mojo? If you are, wave at me. 2 people guessed correctly. One was Ron Byrne. He had the first guess. I'm guessing Bennigan's Restaurant. Was there more than one picture? And I said, bonus points if you guess the correct one. And he said, it's the one on Merle Hay Road in Urbandale, Iowa. Urbandale is a suburb of Des Moines, right on the boundary between Des Moines and Urbandale. It's just that Bennigan's on the Urbandale side of the road. So yes, ding, ding, ding. This is Bennigan's in Urbandale, Iowa. Ron, you get 1,000 Dugroz points plus 250 extra points for guessing the specific location. The other correct guess was from Flying Ryan, who says the Bennigan's I almost met you at. Ryan is originally from the state of Iowa and came back for some family stuff, but we weren't able to meet up at that time. We had considered meeting at Bennigan's. So yes, that's also right. So Ryan, I also give you 1,000 Dugroz points. Catching up on comments here live and in person. Yuri is suggesting the Ink Preferred or CSP with 1.25 cents per point, but that's only through the portal. You don't get it if you book directly with the car rental company, so not as good. I can often find it 10 to 20% cheaper, not in the portal. QC Man just says sorry, and I agree. Well, I'm not sure what the zippered mouth is. I don't remember what that was in regard to, but apology accepted. Dennis says, how about your new saver? Book through the travel portal 5X. Again, just in a portal. I loved being able to book not in the portal. If you're thinking the Aeroplan card, the only downside there is in the United States, it has secondary collision damage waiver. Now, if I'm using it overseas, like I did in the United Kingdom and Wales, the Aeroplan is the card to go with. QC Man is guessing Bennigan's and was correct. Tiori Copulaferdi Trader guesses Applebee's. Yuri G says, I know why there was a U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve devaluation. It was initially released to complete with CSR. When CSR devalued 1 cent per point, U.S. Bank followed. I gotcha. Neither the Strata Premier or Elite or the IG card have primary collision damage waiver. That takes them off the table then. Did I pay for the meal with Mrs. Dugroz using the new Saver card? No, I did not. It hasn't actually arrived yet. And this was actually last weekend before I even applied. YouTube Experiment thinks that US Bank Party Pass gets rid of restaurants. That could be another devaluation to come. QC Man says, cool, you got the Saver sub with the $100 travel credit or just a product change? It was the sub. If it was a new product, how many recent credit cards did you have? I was at either 324 or 424 before applying. One of the two. Let's see. Smartly wrecked the Altitude Reserve, says new again. Yuri says he booked a car rental via the Chase portal and it was the cheapest. That happens sometimes, but I don't know that it's reliable every time. Oh, QC was apologizing for the Iowa State comment. I got you. That's not a big deal. That's not a big deal. I'm just thrilled that you're excited about Iowa State. We can use more fans. And Luke John says, I'm glad you were able to get the Saver. I'm still trying. Just got a couple more comments here in the community tab section. Flory Jack says, it's a cameo from Mrs. Roz. That's right. Her name is Debbie, so her online name is Deb Roz. Mike Newland asks a question here that will be the last one. Well, Anthony Venture put a picture of a water droplet, a sock, and a trophy. Thank you. Mike Newland's comment will take us out today. How would it change the way you approach the credit card game if Amex would announce that you could transfer MRs to family members starting in 2026? So one thing I dislike about Amex is you can't transfer your membership reward points from like your spouse to yourself or vice versa, whereas Chase lets you do it, Wells Fargo lets you do it, Citi kind of lets you do it but expires, Capital One lets you do it. So I don't think they will. I think they're too stingy about that kind of stuff. But how would it change things? It would mean some of these lucrative sign-up bonuses my wife gets that are better than mine could end up on my side and then use my rewards program. So like I want the Hilton bookings to be through me, but Hilton's one you can already get around because Hilton lets you transfer. It would make me feel a little more confident, though, about signing up for something like the green card. By the way, I did actually consider the green card for car rentals, but there's no way to use it for redemptions. And when I did the math, even at 8 RIP trips a year, $50 per day, 3 days, 1 4-day rental, that's $1,500 on rental cars per year, which only comes out to 4,500 points at 3x versus 3,000 at 2x. So I'm not going to open a whole card for an extra 1,500 points a year. Even at 3 cents per point, that's only $45. So I don't think the Amex Green is a solution, even though they do have that pay an extra $22, get collision damage waiver thing. Maybe I just need to really lean into cash back and take it on the chin and do something like that. Luke was at, okay, we already read that. And Dennis says math cannot be denied. Yuri says the Connect was just upgraded recently and there is no sign of devaluation. They extended Sky Gig till November of 26. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the info. So yeah, Wells Fargo, if you could step up and just make your new card great for car rentals, just imitate the Altitude Reserve. Even if you did it at 1.25 with a travel eraser, you would have my business. That's where we're going to end it. I'm going to thank everyone. So last chance to drop a super chat or super sticker or tip jar tip or whatever. Tom Graber started out with 1 membership. Studio TK gifted a membership. John liked my tie. It is a fancy award show and gave me $1.99. MR became a member. Jimmy Duff dropped $4.99. And then, I don't think I realized this then. No, I thought these were the same person. They're 2 different people. Jimmy Duff dropped $4.99. Ian dropped $4.99. Thank you to both of you. Jimmy Duff became a member. Thank you again. KC-Man or K-Man 2324 gave $10. Mike Newland gifted 20 memberships. That's as good as $60. Vandersar became a member. Ron Byrne dropped $10. QC-Man celebrated 20 months of membership. QC-Man dropped a membership. Studio TK dropped $149. And this one just came in here. LN330 also dropped $149. I hereby baptize you with 1,000 Dugroz points. There we go. I'm a Baptist, though, so I should dunk you into the Dugroz points. Thanks, LN. Celebrate. Let's see. Did I read over all of them? Yep, that's all of them. QC Man says, since I'm a Jets fan, we have Breece Hall and Will McDonald, and there was a rumor your coach was heading to us during one of our many coaching vacancies. Well, I'm not an active fan. I like them. I gotcha. You also have Kane Nwangu, or it might be just pronounced Wangu, who is on your team as the kick returner, and he's an Iowa State Cyclone. Yes, I'm sort of a Jets fan for that reason only. Poor Breece Hall. He might be the most talented running back in the league, and he got stuck on the Jets. YouTube Experiment said, thanks for whoever gifted me a membership. Yes, celebrate that. QC Man says, I didn't realize the fancy tie. Very fancy. My son said I look like a high school teacher who was told he has to wear a tie. Ellen just joined for the very end. Congrats on 100. Thank you. Thank you all who tuned in to the 100th episode of Dugroz Reports. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your Let me try that again. Thank you to everyone who tuned into my 100th live stream. And as always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.